Hello and welcome to episode 2 of a Plethora of Video Games Podcasts, a bi-monthly podcast in which me and my co-hosts go over video game topics that range from individual games, news, hardware, software, and anything else in between that we feel like discussing. In today's episode, it shall be centered around the PlayStation 4 as Sony just recently pushed out the next generation consoles with their PlayStation 5. But before we dive into that console, me and my friend want to discuss the legacy the PlayStation 4 had on us individually and within the industry as a whole. And with that out of the way, let's begin the show, shall we? With me, say 1, 2, 3. Just be like 1, 2, 3 with me, kind of thing. All right, ready?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, cool. So, welcome to episode 2 of a Plethora of Video Games Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Fevish, or better yet known as a Business Ghost on YouTube. I'm here today with my friend from the other podcast, but not Rodrigo. Instead, I have Scott here. So, Scott, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm the guy that was in that 3-hour-long podcast talking about gay-ass Pokemon. Oops, I meant great Pokemon, you know?
Amazing Pokemon, I mean. I thought it was 4 hours. I don't remember. But it was too damn long. I think this time we're going to try to structure it to be at least less than 2 hours, if possible. We're going to be covering a lot of broad topics within the PlayStation 4 and a little bit into the PlayStation 5. But for the most part, we're going to try to keep it short and keep it simple. What other introduction formalities should I introduce? If you like this podcast, you like my content on YouTube, you can also follow me on Twitter at ghost_business. And and I'll have some other links out in the description for other people that support me and do the artwork for the channel and whatnot. So with that out of the way, we shall go on with the topic, which is the PlayStation 4. But before we go on to the PlayStation 4, we got to address the PlayStation 5. So that was recently released not too long ago. I want to say like a week or two ago, probably 2 weeks now at this point. But it's gone on to sold nearly, PlayStation 5 sold between 1.3 and 1.6 million units when it first launched in North America, Mexico, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea. And a week later, on November 19th, it sold between 800 and 900,000 units across Europe and the rest of the world. So pretty damn crazy numbers for the PlayStation 5. To put into context, the PlayStation 4 sold roughly around 2 million units within just the first couple weeks, and the PS5 has already surpassed that in just like the couple days that it was first announced, or first released. So pretty crazy.
Which I'm surprised.
I don't have Oh, you're surprised by it?
Yeah, it's like I didn't expect it to be. I thought definitely this console generation was going to be PC mustard race for sure. Like, I thought more people would be more invested in getting a PC, but now I guess it's people are going out and getting home consoles now.
Yeah, I mean, people thought the like consoles were going to be dead like last generation, and like they thought phone gaming would rise and PC gaming, but I mean, it's still a pretty huge market, and with the unfortunate pandemic going on, more people are playing video games than ever. So I'm just surprised the console's coming out in general because of that, because I thought with the pandemic it would not be coming out. Because no one wants to go to stores and whatnot. So, but I was wrong, and it's selling pretty well. I'm pretty glad about that too, because I mean I like console gaming a lot. Personally, I like playing on a couch and stuff. I like playing on my computer with like first-person shooter games and multiplayer games, but I do like myself sitting on a couch while looking at a TV and playing games. So I was the unfortunate many people who did not get a PlayStation 5 at launch. Because scalpers and shit, and everyone, it's a huge demand, and they don't have the supply to meet that demand.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That could be reasons why like they sold the most, but yet people don't have any consoles at all. That's like the other thing. So I think it's mostly scalpers who just ended up buying like a bunch of them.
The scalpers and just the overall demand for it for sure. Yeah. But I was going to ask you, when do you think we'll see the PlayStation 5 on store shelves that will be readily available for the public?
Probably like 6 months from now. I'm guessing. I think that's how it was also for the PlayStation for. But yet again, it is a different time of year, I guess, where it's just like, oh, people are now buying it more crazily. Like, it's like toilet paper nowadays.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's like, but yet again, remember how the Nintendo Switch first came out? It was like, I think it was a year before like people were actually was able to see, oh yeah, hey, there's a console Switch right there. And it was like not like a big thing to buy it so desperately.
So. Yeah, I mean, I was looking back at console launches in the past, and I know the Wii was the same situation the PS5's in. Like, it was just a huge demand for it. Nintendo didn't have a lot of supply for it. So, from what I read online, like it wasn't until like the next year where you can actually see these things on like shelves and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm assuming the same thing will be with the PlayStation 5. Maybe not a year, but I would say you're probably not going to see them on shelves. Probably not until June, and the earliest maybe May.
Yeah, like May 6 months, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so around there. So if you didn't get one, you probably won't be getting one for a little bit, or you might be one of the lucky few who like just happen to walk into a Walmart and see just one laying there for some odd reason.
Honestly,
I've seen a lot of stuff on Reddit where people just like, hey, I walked into my Walmart and there was just a random PS5 here. And
yeah, you're not gonna have that. I think I remember seeing a sign in Target saying like, oh, if you come here for a PlayStation 5, you have to call us, and they won't even display it anymore now. They're just gonna have it in the back.
Oh, okay.
So
damn, I didn't.
Yeah, I think other stores are doing that too. Like Walmart is probably doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, so people are not fighting over it. Hey, that's the last PS5. What the fuck?
Yeah, and then people are just getting really mad. Like, I'm bringing up scalpers again, just because it's a really big issue with this console generation. It seems. Maybe it's every console generation, but this one definitely is like a lot more advertised on in gaming journalism. I mean, you got people literally buying thousands of these fucking things.
Yeah.
And they're selling it for profit. And it's like, damn.
Well,
and people are still actually buying it too. And it's just like, no, like, don't buy it. I mean, I understand, you want to, give it for your niece or your son or whatnot. But like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to cave in like an extra $500 just for the thing,
Yeah. Well, only extra 500? No, there's like triple the price on those things now. Like it's like $1,000 more we're talking.
Yeah, it's getting pretty ridiculous. I'm glad people are they're making fake eBay accounts and they're just spamming those scalpers. Mm-hmm. And so they'll just put like a ridiculous high price amount, and then they just won't fulfill it. So like, they just get what's it called? They the person that's trying to scalp them, it will say like it's sold, but then like they don't pay it out, so they just lose like all those people that actually were potentially going to pay out. So I'm glad that's happening, because fuck scalpers.
Well, I feel like that could be kids too. They're just increasing the number, just being dumb about it. Like I see that being a very kids thing.
Yeah, it could be for sure.
I don't know though. But my sister's boyfriend, he ended up pre-ordering like an Xbox, the new Xbox, and two of them in two different websites. He actually got both of them, surprisingly. So
oh wow, which one, the Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S?
Yeah, the X, I think he got the Series X, and he got both. Ended up getting both of them, and he's like, well, shit, I only need one, so he's just gonna sell the other one with, of course, a higher price, which I mean, that's fine. I think it's okay. It's just when you're having like 1,000 consoles, like, come on, dude.
Yeah, you're just like lowering the pool for people to potentially get it. And yeah, like I'm not gonna like knock you for like maybe a couple $100. Like maybe like, yeah, you're not like a super like rich person and you accidentally just bought two and you didn't think one would go. So I'd understand that. I don't really mind people reselling their stuff if they bought like 2 or 3 maybe. Like they just thought like, oh, maybe they'll run out, so let me buy from different websites. Because I know people do that online.
Yeah, that's what.
But it's the people who like specifically buy like hundreds or thousands of these units, and they're trying to like make a profit off it.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
Like, nah. I'm like, that's kind of egregious. But like that example, I don't really mind that at all, honestly.
Like that, I wish they would do like, I think it was like for iPhones. Like there's some stores where it's like, oh, you can only get the stuff in the store, right? And then it's like they make sure everybody has a line, and then whoever is in the first in line, right? They cannot order anything more than just one. Like they're not allowed to buy a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's a pretty smart thing.
Like
to do.
I wish.
And I think they should have like a like those captcha or reCAPTCHA things like they have online with some websites where you have to like it like prevents bots from just like having a bunch of accounts just buy everything at once, which I think is the problem that happened with a lot of websites.
Well, like if you remember the new like graphics card that just came out, which is the RTX 3090, that one like sold out quick.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not even just consoles. It's like everything. Electronic wise is just going like is running out.
If there's hype on it's gonna be scalped. That's for sure. Any hype on the console, it's going to get scalped for sure.
Yeah, a lot of industries in like around the U.S. they're starting to see a lot of diminishing supply. I know like another industry like the gun industry, for instance, is like having a hard time trying to like keep up with the demand, and it's been like that throughout the whole entire year. And games is the same thing. They're just having a hard time keeping up with it, and so probably not gonna say anything until things go back to normal, which I don't know if they really will by next year. I don't think so.
Well, so, no, I think so because I know we're getting into now the pandemic, but the UK they already have the vaccine out, and it's kind of come over here too in Arizona real soon.
Oh yeah, but like administrating out to like 300 million Americans is probably going to take a couple months to do.
That's true.
Like it's not going to be instantaneous. That's why I said like June. I could see June because by then most people will probably get it, but you're still going to have thousands of people, maybe millions, not take the vaccine, and that herd immunity bullshit will kind of not kick into effect, and we could probably potentially see this thing go on for longer, or anything else could really arise from here until now. I want to remain optimistic, but obviously, 2020 has been a cursed year, and I don't know if 2021 will fare any better. Hopefully, it will, but we'll have to wait and see.
It can only get better from here, I think. Hopefully,
that is true. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed and everything, but I'm not.
Hopefully, I can get a new PlayStation.
Yeah, hopefully. So. All right, well, let's get on to the meat and potatoes of this episode in the podcast on the PlayStation 4. So I kind of want to begin off on a lighter note with the PS4 before we get into the critical dissection of what we think about it and our positive and negative thoughts about it. I had an interesting history with the console when it first was released because, like the PS5, there was a hard time trying to find the thing. And I remember when it first came out, and I asked my dad, because my dad asked me, like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I just want this. Like, can you just give me a PS4? And so, like, I didn't really know anything about, like, they're hard to find or anything like that. I was I think I was in high school. Yeah, I was in high school when the console came out. So it was just like, well, I don't care. Just give it to me, please. So he went out of his way and went to, like, a million different stores for a couple days until he finally found one at Hastings, of all places. And it was like a kiosk display, so I thought that was kind of cool. He did all that shit because I didn't really notice at the beginning, but I'm like, oh damn, you did all that for me. So yeah. But what was I gonna say? What were your initial thoughts on the console at launch? Like, did you were you like kind of beside yourself? You're like, what should I get? An Xbox One, or should I get a PS4, or should I not get one? Like, so was it kind of just Oh, sorry. You can go.
Oh, so it was like kind of like how this was like probably the first time that I really invested in watching E3. The E3 events. Nowadays, I don't even watch it. I just watch recaps or what's the best, or even the memes. I love watching E3 memes. They're the greatest. But for that, I was actually really looking into it. And at first, I thought I wanted the Xbox One. I thought it looked really good. And especially since I was with the 360, so I was like, I have a lot more like, definitely want the Xbox One. But then later on, I was talking to more of my friends, and I started realizing everybody wanted a PlayStation 4. And then it kind of went into that direction that I wanted to get one. And I actually ended up getting one from a friend when I already started working. Like, I never got it throughout my high school because my parents were very like, oh, no video games. Hate video games. Like, it wasn't even that expensive. Like, they could have gotten $200 for like a really good deal on the console. And it was just like, they just didn't want me to play it at all. So I ended up working, and I ended up buying it off of a friend. So that's how I got my PlayStation 4, and I still have it even now, and it works still fine. Not even like the jet plane like sound on it. The jet, like what do you call it?
The airplane taking off from the tarmac.
Yeah,
that's what mine sounds like. I hate that shit. Like every time it like turns on, I can just imagine like some guy with like those like glowed up cones, and he's like trying to direct you.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause my PS4 is gonna take off one day. Like it's insane. Like even small games. Like I forgot what I was playing. I was playing I think it was Axiom Verge on the PS4 one time, and like it was just loud the whole time. I'm like, this game isn't even that graphically demanding. Like, what the fuck?
Actually, I just heard it recently. I was playing Call of Duty, the new one, Cold War, and I put that in, and immediately I heard the jet plane sound going off, and I was like, holy crap! This is the first time I'm actually hearing it going off like this.
Yeah, when I was playing Last of Us Part 2, oh my god, like I thought that thing was gonna die.
Oh no, I honestly I thought like I didn't want to get that game because I was thinking, I swear that's gonna destroy my console. That's gonna destroy the PS4 on me. If you had the Pro, it would probably be fine, but definitely I was like, nah, that's gonna destroy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's weird because like it's definitely like some people have that and some people don't have that problem, and I just unfortunately have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know all my other friends, none of them have that issue, and I'm just like, man, I really wish I didn't have that issue because it used to be in the PS4 used to be in my room, and it used to echo in my entire room,
Mm-hmm.
and like I could just like I had to put headphones on because I couldn't hear the game. I couldn't hear the TV sometimes because it just the whole time, and it's just like, oh my god, this is annoying.
Yeah, that's actually really bad. I didn't. Yeah, like I said, I didn't get to experience that, but yeah, I definitely had you and then another friend that had that issue, and then even my girlfriend's brother has that problem. I thought I could easily fix it by just like blowing out the fan, trying to clean the fan out maybe. And I remember I opened it up and I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of dust in here. So I was trying my best to try and get all of it out. It still ended up making that noise no matter what, which is just like, what the hell? Why does it do it this way? This is so dumb. Why does some consoles work and other ones don't?
That's the thing. I have actually a funny story. My friend Inaso, what's it called? He opened up his PS4, he blew the fan stuff, and then it just bricked his console. so like he couldn't even use it afterwards. I don't know what he did to it. He swears by his statement that he said that like he just opened it up and blew like the air duster,
Yeah,
and got all the dirt out, and then closed it back up and it just didn't work.
Well,
so I've always been scared of doing that, and because also you void a warranty, so you can't like send it into like Sony to repair it. But yeah, like I take good care of my consoles. Like I take them out at least once a month. Like I have a bunch of I have a GameCube and all this shit set up ready to go if I want to play them. And I take them out at least once a month to dust them, because you got to dust your consoles, otherwise it get really nasty. And the PS4 I dust like once a week because the vents on the PS4 are kind of shitty. I'm not gonna lie. Like they get filled with dust really quickly.
Oh yeah,
especially if you live in Arizona and there's just fucking dust everywhere.
They're like a dust magnet, I swear. It's like all over that console. It's like, oh yeah, that thing is gonna get dusty, especially on the glossy part. Mostly I'm talking about like the first like edition of PlayStation, not like the newer ones, like how it's not all matte. Like the other one was like glossy and I hated it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fingerprints all over it.
But before we get into the physical aspect, I want to go touch back on the Xbox One and PS4 launch. With me, I really want an Xbox One because I've the two biggest consoles that have like a huge impact in my life, aside from the PS4, obviously, because that's like high school, college console for sure. But like my elementary, middle school, high school console, or half a high school console, is definitely the PS2, and most notably the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 was the first console I ever got to like play online games with. I played with friends on it. Like I put like months worth of game hours on the Xbox 360, and I still have it there, and it still works surprisingly. I have the Modern Warfare 2 edition, and it's only red ringed on me once, and then I just left it alone for like a day, and then I turned it back on and it worked. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, when the Xbox One, I remember watching the E3, like the original presentation for it, and I was like, whoa, this looks kind of cool. And but of course everyone does the TV meme.
Yeah.
But that really was a huge issue with it, because I remember watching it being bored. Like I was surprised because I was really excited for all day at school. I like ran home and I was like, oh, I gotta watch it. I watched it and I was like, oh, like where are the games? And like the last like 20 minutes had Dead Rising 3, which looked really cool, but that TV, and then like the Kinect has to always be online and the console has to be always online. It really killed it for me. And then to put the final nail in the coffin, they didn't have backwards compatibility for the thing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, like and you couldn't. And then they had some weird sharing issue too, where you couldn't share like your physical games with other people.
Yeah,
like,
they did
it was
that.
As if, yeah, I have no idea. I think it was Phil. What's his name? I forgot his name. No, it wasn't Phil Spencer.
No, it was the other dude. I forgot his name. Yeah, that whole like presentation was a big giant fail. It was like they were more targeting like the everyone, like not gamers specifically, because clearly they didn't show any games, which is a big meme on the Xbox One. No games on there till this day. It's like from the moment it came out and the moment it's already like done, it's no games on that thing. Ugh.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's still plaguing its issue. It's still plaguing with the Xbox Series X. I'm still surprised that like after Halo Infinite got delayed, I was like, well, there's like nothing for this thing. Like if you already own like an Xbox One X, for instance, there was like no reason for you to get a Series X right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say we'll talk about it a little bit more the next gen, the other next gen console, the Series X, because I really like that console. But like I designed and I like how you can play like every single Xbox game on it, or most Xbox games.
And like the best thing ever is Game Pass. I like that. I really do. It's only $15 a month.
Yeah.
It's like that's
Game Pass is amazing.
Yeah, Game Pass is. I know that some people are gonna be like, "Oh, but you don't truly own the games." That's true, but you know what? It actually lets me explore games that I probably would never explored in the first place, anyways. Like, because I don't want to play that game because I don't want to pay for it. Like, I could play a lot of good indie games on that thing. And not only that,
for sure,
if you have a PC, there you go. Now you can play it on there. So I think that was like a big, bold move that Xbox did, was like, oh yeah, you can play Xbox games on PC now. And it's like, oh, well, what's the fucking point of having a Xbox, And you can use Game Pass on the PC too, I believe, right? Or no? Yeah?
Yeah, you can use it on PC. Yeah, like Sony's gonna have to try to find a way to tap into that market. They have the PS Plus collection for the PS5, but I don't know how that functions aside from Game Pass. I think it's kind of like Game Pass, but I think what they're gonna have to do eventually, and that they're gonna have to combine PS Now, rebrand it perhaps, and just combine it with PS Plus and offer that same kind of feature. Like they're gonna have to do something like that. Yeah. Otherwise, like they're just completely missing out on a market.
I hate PS Now. I think that was like a dumb move on PlayStation. It was a greedy move. I didn't like that. It was like, you're already paying for PlayStation Plus. Now you gotta pay for PlayStation Now, which is like another $60 a year. So it's just like, bleeding.
Yeah,
money
it wasn't
out
even
of me.
60 before. I think it was like $70 or $80 before they like brought down the price. And and unlike a Game Pass, you don't download the game, like you just stream it.
Yeah.
So it runs like shit. So like unless you have like fiber optic cabling hooked up to your PS4, like you're just gonna have a really bad time with it. But we'll get onto that a little bit later. But with the Xbox One, it was a very easy choice for me to get the PS4 because of all the issues that Xbox One has. Later down the line in its lifetime, the Xbox One would definitely come back with the S and the Xbox One X, which is arguably, before the next gen consoles came out, which was arguably like the most strongest and probably like one of my more favorite newer consoles to come out. Like I really enjoy the Xbox One X. It's a very sexy console, but
really,
let's get on.
I prefer the S. I think the S looks really nice. I really like the S design.
I do like how it's small and it's white. Not to say that white's always right or anything, but white definitely looks sexy on the thing, and that looks like a pretty good console. But the X, like it's insane how many games are just upgraded like visually because of the X. Like playing the Gears of War. I was playing Gears of War 1 and 2, and they have HDR and 4K support and everything on it, and it looks like a completely different game. It's insane how well the fidelity looks on there. It's insane how fast games load on there and whatnot. But
yeah, that's true. Oh, go ahead.
I would say let's get back onto the PS4. I want to talk to you about its the main things I want to talk about is console design and the controller. and maybe we'll go into like some software tidbits with the PS4. But
okay.
The initial PlayStation 4, we'll talk about that because I never got a slim. Oh, my brother has a slim, so I know what that looks like. It's kind of boring to me personally. I don't like the way the slim looks.
Yeah, my little brother, he has a slim, and yeah, I don't like it. Like, honestly, I would say I don't like any of the PS4 consoles design, but
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't like them at all. Like, I don't like the original PlayStation 4, the eraser looking thing.
The eraser.
Yeah,
it does. It does look like an eraser. Yeah.
and I don't really care for the slim, like how you said. And then the PlayStation 4 Pro just doesn't look good. But I'm not buying the console because of how it looks. Like, I'm usually buying it because of the games. So that's how I see it. And I don't like the controller either of the PlayStation.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting aspect because I actually like coming back from the PS3 to the PS4. I fucking absolutely hate the PS3 controller. That's like arguably like the worst controller I've ever like had to deal with. It feels flimsy. I feel like I can break it. The 6-axis was stupid. And trying to get a PS3 controller now is impossible. Like, I can't find it anywhere except GameStop that sells it for like $30 or $40. Like, like you go on eBay, like they're all fake. And certain games, like I was trying to play Killzone 2 and Resistance 2, and there's certain sections in the game you can't progress it because you need 6-axis to play. And so like I need to buy these I need to buy another controller that's like an actual PC controller. But the PS4 controller was definitely a step up. I think the only thing I really don't like about the controller, I have it with me, like in front of me. I think the only thing I don't like about the controller is definitely the light bar. And when it first was released, we had no idea why there was a fucking light bar. It was just there. And later on, we found out it was because of PSVR and whatnot. But that wasn't until like 2 or 3 years later after the fucking thing came out. So for a long time, it literally, like, everyone just viewed it as like it's just draining our battery. And the PS4 controller had a really like shitty battery life because of that. So I always had the thing hooked up to the also really stupid micro USB, which I also really do not like micro USB. Yeah. And the PS4 utilizes that. But aside from that, I really enjoyed the console. I really enjoyed the controller. It's a really good step up from the DualShock 3. I like the spider, like like the spider mouth design to it. It feels pretty good in my hands. It feels good. The thing about it is it feels really good to play any kind of game. The PS3 controller arguably is just not good for any first-person shooter games. It just doesn't feel good, and I hate the back triggers for it. And the PS4, it feels right in my hands. It's not as good as an Xbox One controller, which I think is probably like one of the better controllers to come out in recent memory. But it's definitely a good controller. The only thing I wish more games utilized the touchpad. I was really hoping it was gonna like not revolutionize games, but people were gonna really utilize it to the fullest advantage, like in Infamous Second Son and some other games. But like I don't know. After the console first came out and like the first like year or two, like no one used it anymore. It was just like another button, and that's all it was.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Well, I think like that's the thing. I don't like the trackpad too much. It felt like very gimmicky kind of thing. Like they were trying to get into the whole like gimmick of the whole touch thing, and like they did that with the Vita too, actually, where you had the trackpad on the back of the Vita, which is a weird concept that they thought would be okay. Some games did it really well, and a lot of other games did it terrible. But the issue that I have really with the controller is I hate the triggers on the back. Every time when I set down the controller, it just like it will always hit those buttons all the time. And I hated that. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I know what you're talking about. They didn't really affect me that much, though, to be perfectly honest. I always thought people always complain about the triggers. I thought they were just okay. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think they're like amazing. They're not Xbox One level quality triggers, but like they're all right to me.
Well, it's just because if you were to set it down, it would push the button, right? So it's like I just didn't like that because I'll be watching a movie, right, and I'll set it down, and now all of a sudden it's like fast forwarding or like going backwards.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I do have problems with that sometimes. So I have to like put it down like gently.
Of course,
that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, so that to me is like a failure on that. Like I don't know why you would have like the triggers as like a set standing thing. Also, I didn't like the analog sticks. It's good, but it's not like I know I'm gonna say like it's not Xbox One quality, kind of like joysticks on it, you know. Like the analog sticks just feel too. Ugh. And then I would say that's about it, really, for me. I think the controller feels nice in the hands, but I don't know. I think it's about the same price when you buy them, right? It's like $60 for an Xbox One controller and a PS4 controller, correct?
Yeah, and they're $60.
Yeah, so it feels like, oh, I'm getting kind of like cheated on here because it's like I can totally tell that the PlayStation 4 controller. Well, I guess maybe not because they have that trackpad added into it, so maybe it's not like a ripoff. But I generally feel like an Xbox One, it's like controller, you're getting more bang out of your buck with those.
For sure, because a lot of like games on PC, they utilize the Xbox One controller more so than the DualShock 4, and I don't know anyone that uses the DualShock 4 for PC games. Like no one does, from my understanding. At least from my friend group, everyone just uses the Xbox One controller. I think. I don't know. I don't really care about the speaker either. A lot of games utilize the speaker.
Oh, I
actually found that kind of annoying. Like the biggest one I found annoying was Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
When I went from the 360 to the PS5, like when they started calling and you could hear it through your speaker, I was like, no. And I turned it off immediately. Like I did not like that feature whatsoever.
Like I think it's cool because it does actually sound like it's going to a phone call, but I just don't really want that. I don't want to put the speaker in my ear to hear what they're saying. Yeah, I think that was a dumb idea. Yeah, and I also would say the micro USB. I mean, that I absolutely hate that charging port so much.
I'm so glad everyone's going to USB-C because I'm like,
oh my god,
or micro USB-C because I'm like, fuck, sorry. USB-C, correct? I think that's what the Switch uses.
Yes, USB-C is the newer one.
Yeah, because that's like it locks into place. It doesn't fiddle around. Like I have to constantly every year I had to get like new micro USB cables because they would just fuck up or something and they get really loose, and they're annoying. And I really just don't like them. And it's annoying too because the PS4 just has really low battery, and that's probably because of the light bar. And the light bar is cool in some games. Like I like in Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 5. I mean, if you have low health, like it'll kind of go like orange to red. And in Grand Theft Auto, if you're getting chased by the police, it would like blink red and blue, which is really cool. But like I still just don't care for it. It just literally glares in my TV when I'm playing. And I play a lot of the times at night, mostly, like almost exclusively most of the time at night because of school and work and whatnot. So it's just like, it's just a huge pain in the ass for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. It's not. It's that's neat, and that's kind of it. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about the light thing also, and it drains my battery. Please stop.
And I will say, the analog sticks are shitty for sure, but I replaced them with the help of our friend Andrew.
Yeah,
and I still have my day one PS4 controller. I can't say that about a lot of other consoles. Like my Switch Joy-Cons, like I told you recently, like they're starting to drift, and I'm gonna have to replace them. And I've only had that thing for like 3 years, and my 360, that thing shit the bed like within like probably 4 or 5 years. It's a pretty good amount of time though for a controller. But yeah, the analog sticks got really nasty. It's not like I eat pizza and I play with my controller or anything like that.
It just gets
like
built in.
Yeah, like I'm very conscious when it comes to like, my controllers. I like to make sure they're not dusty. I like to make sure they're in good condition. And that PS4 controller from day one still works perfectly fine. Aside from the analog sticks, I did have to replace those, but like that wasn't too bad. It was pretty easy to replace them.
Strange, because like I actually like my Xbox controllers like still like works even now, and they're day one kind of like controllers. Like I think the only reason why some of them like broke was because my brother would smash them like onto the ground because he would get mad at a video game.
Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe I didn't take care of my controllers. Like I remember my PS2 controllers; those things got absolutely destroyed after a while.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I used to do that. I used to have a really bad habit of wrapping them around the controller, like the cord.
That just
completely
bad.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time because like all my friends did it, so like, oh, I'll do that too. And then I was like, oh, you don't supposed to do that. So,
Nah,
but like the
ignorant it.
360 controller, I don't remember what I did. Like I don't think I did anything. I didn't abuse it or anything. Like, so I don't know. That one just for some reason it shit the bed. I have a lot of other 360 controllers though, um, and they all work perfectly fine. None of them have really gave me an issue. It was just the first one I got. Yeah, it fucked up after a while.
Let's just admit that the best controller ever made was the GameCube controller, okay?
Oh
Indestructible.
my goodness.
It could be the end of the world, and that thing will still be, like, sturdy.
I mean, I don't blame. I mean, I can't argue against that. It's playing on the Switch, like 3 consoles later, it's still being used for Smash. So that only goes to the testimony of the GameCube controller for sure.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. But let's see. Console design wise, I can't say anything for the Slim. The Slim just looks boring. It suits its purpose, but it's very very dry. I would not get that thing just because. I mean, I like the looks of consoles. Like I love the way the the fat PS3 looks. I like the way my 360 looks because it's the Modern Warfare 2 edition. And my favorite design wise for a console is definitely the GameCube. It has so much originality and spunk to it, and it just screams early 2000s. So I love the way that thing looks, and I love how you can like carry like a lunchbox. This is great.
No, they really thought about it. Like, people are gonna bring this console to their friend's house, and then their other friends. Yeah, they really thought outside the box on it. No
Did
pun
people really,
intended.
Like, carry it though, because I always put it in my backpack. I never carried it like that because I didn't want to like smash it against a wall by accident or something, or drop it or something.
Like if it was your neighbor from like next door, like I people would do that.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
For the PS4, the original one, I do like the way it looks. I do think the glossy finishing on the left side of the console is a little annoying if you touch it a lot because it just has smears and you have to like wipe it all the time. But I think it looks pretty sexy. I ain't gonna lie. I like the light bar that goes through the middle of the console.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a nice, sleek looking design that I still really adore to this day. The Pro, on the other hand, looks whatever. It kind of just looks like a Slim, but it's like stacked on top of each other.
It looks like a hamburger.
It literally just looks like a double-decker sandwich of some kind. So that's kind of lame, but I don't know anyone that owns a Pro either. I only know our friend Ricardo. He's the only one that I know that like actually owns one, and he forgot. I asked him yesterday, like, oh, how do you like your Pro? And he was like, I have a Pro. I was like, yes, you have one. And he's like, oh, I do. I don't know. I don't notice anything. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But that could just be him. But the Pro is definitely really not. It's okay looking design wise. Definitely the hardware is where it's at on that PS4 Pro. It's just, I think for me, after getting the Xbox One X, it just doesn't compare just to how much the X can really do for a lot of games. And that the Pro doesn't seem to do unless like the developers unless the developers specifically upgrade the game to run at like 60 frames or run at a better resolution. It pretty much just emulates PS4 games, and that's a little disappointing, especially for one of the games we're definitely going to talk about later, Bloodborne. I was hoping the Pro would run the game at 60 frames, but it doesn't, and it still just runs like complete arse. So that's a little annoying.
I don't think it's that bad. It's not that horrendous.
I don't know. After like getting the laptop this year and playing PC games and playing a lot of games like I used to play like in 30 frames or less, I'm like, I don't want to go back anymore. Like I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3 the other day actually, and I was like, why is this run like crap? Because I'm so used to the 1.5 and 2.5 collection running like at 60.
Oh yeah, I know.
And so it's really hard to go back. But on the Xbox One X, it runs at 60 frames. So yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on. So I think we're done with the physical portions of the game, or of the console itself and the controller and whatnot. So
Software.
I think software would be a good time too. Actually, we can do software and specifically. Oh, yeah, no wait. I want to go back to to hardware actually.
Oh yeah.
To storage, because storage wasn't an issue when it first came out, but then it became an issue, and it's still an issue even with the PS5 recently.
Oh, well,
So
yeah. I think that's gonna be the future. Is like definitely like, oh, not like consoles are never gonna be able to keep up with storage anymore with games. Like I feel like it's always gonna be that chase from now on.
yeah, for the PS4, did it take a while for your console to fill up after when it first launched? Because for me, I didn't run into the issue probably until the second year, and
Well,
then that's when I was like, okay, I need to get an external hard drive.
so the console that I bought from was from a friend, and he put in a terabyte in there, a hard drive. So it took a while for me to have it. Honestly, I think a PS4 is perfectly fine right now with a terabyte. I think it's perfect at a terabyte level. It's not, no, maybe not perfect, but it's just a little bit below perfect. I think it just fills out pretty decent amount of games on there. And then you can go ahead and delete some of them. Like, if you're having, like, Call of Duty, like, like a bunch of them, yeah, you're gonna have to start deleting a lot of shit.
Yeah, like if you have like Warzone, Rainbow, Apex, like all these multiplayer games are like couple like especially Warzone. Warzone's like isn't it like 200 gigabytes or something like that? Like it's an insane amount of
Warzone?
storage.
I don't even know.
Yeah, because I remember my friend Daniel. He was telling me that like he needed to delete like 6 or 7 games just so he can download Warzone like updates, and I'm like, nah, that's too big. Or even recent games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Last of Us, they're like 100 gigabytes. Like they're an insane amount of storage to run those games. And I'm hoping with the SSD for the PS5, it makes it so those games can be a lot smaller.
I
In
don't
terms of
think
when you're
so.
downloading them. But from what I've been hearing online from people on Twitter and stuff is like they're already starting to like run out of space already, and
Oh, yeah.
you can't use any hardware or any hard drives that don't have SSD on it, and they have to be specifically made by Sony or something like that from what I heard. So and like those can probably run up to like $100 to $200 for like an
Oh,
extra
shit.
terabyte or
I
two.
actually
So
didn't know that. Like, with the PlayStation 4, what was great about it is that you could just get any hard drive. Like, any hard drive. And then you can just put it in, and you'll be fine. So the fact that they're now making it where it's like, oh, you can only use a Sony hard drive, like that's kind of scummy. I don't like that.
yeah, I'm assuming they're probably going to update it later on, and they'll probably make it to where you can utilize anything. From what I remembered reading this article a while ago, that you could use a regular hard drive for like PS4 games, and you can store PS5 games on it, but you cannot play the games unless you transfer it over from the hard drive to the SSD that's inside the PS5. Because the SSD that they have in the PS5, that's what makes the games just run a lot quicker. So like, unless it's a PS4 game, I believe you can just run it on the hard drive itself, because with the PS5, all it's doing pretty much is just emulating PS4 games. Like I think the No Man's Sky developer said that they want to update PS5 to next gen, like kind of thing, like they did with the Xbox Series X. But they
Yeah.
pretty much said like that with the PS5, they essentially have to remaster it to get that same level of quality that the Series X just does automatically because of the way the hardware is, set up and everything, hardware and software set up. So kind of weird. But yeah, I would definitely say a terabyte is definitely good for the PS4. I myself have a 2 terabyte Seagate hard drive hooked up to the PS4.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I've deleted a lot of games since then because I played and beat a lot of games. But the thing I get annoyed about it is like it's just it's like dangling over next to the side of the PS4, and I think it just looks really ugly. But it's like I have no other choice because
You don't want to crack it open and like put in an actual like hard drive in there, like just get a new hard drive.
I guess I could. I just like I don't know. I'm just like I just have this, so I'm just gonna use it. Like by next year time, I should have a PS5, so I'm probably gonna retire my PS4 anyway. Because I mean, at that point, it's just gonna be like my Silent Hill or my PT. I mean, console. I'll just keep
Oh,
it in the
yeah.
closet and be like, "Hey, do you guys want to play PT when you come to my house?" And I'll just whip it out.
That game is ridiculous. The only reason why you should ever put on a PS4 is because of that.
Just for PT. Yeah, it's a great game. I fucking love PT. It's probably like one of my more favorite horror games. I haven't played a lot of horror games, but like that one, even though it's just a demo, it's so amazing.
It is. It's pretty cool. It's definitely something, an experience I never experienced before when I kind of game. It's just like a really intense feeling.
Yeah, like I don't. You probably in my house when you come to my house and we play it. We played that game at least like with the group of our friends for at least like probably like 3 or 5 times.
Five.
Like,
I think it was like 5 times. I think
yeah,
everybody
like,
has gotten a chance to like play it
and
like,
beat it probably.
and beat it. I think like the funniest story was like when Andrew was playing it, because he's like really scared at like horror things. So like the fact that he's playing it and it's a puzzle game no less, he's like like super freaking out on it, and we're all just yelling at him. No, you have to do it like this.
Yeah, and then like he like doesn't look at the camera or like in the TV and just like look at it, pussy, look at it. Yeah, I had so many fun memories of that. And usually what happened would be like, oh, we're bored. What do we play together? And it's like, we don't have any multiplayer games. All right, let's just play PT.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it'd be at night, obviously, so we just turn off all the lights, and yeah, it was such a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
But are we done with hardware or?
Yeah, I think we'll move on to software. For software wise, we can talk about the UI. The UI definitely had a couple updates throughout its run. I don't really recall much of what the original PS4 UI looked like. From what I remembered, it wasn't the most intuitive UI, and I think it's because it kind of just resembled like, I think it was just like there was no like, you know how you look at like the squares and then you press up and it goes to the settings and stuff.
Yeah,
that used to not be there. It used to just literally be the checkerboard thing all the way across. Yeah, and so you had to go all the way down to look at settings, and it was really annoying. But they updated it, and they had it to where it is now, which is a lot more streamlined and a lot easier to navigate through. And I don't really want like big UIs. Like I remember the original 360 UI was not the original, but like the 2010 UI was kind of atrocious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was so hard to like, not hard to, but like it was just annoying to navigate shit. Like you just had to keep scrolling to find something. And it wasn't as easy as it is now. And the PS4 UI is pretty good. I think the only thing I don't like about it is you can't customize it to the extremely to your liking.
Yeah.
Like you can have folders and whatnot, but like they just look ugly on the screen. And I just wish you could make it look a little nicer.
That's true. It does look kind of messy.
Yeah, especially if like, you know, you have family and friends like watching Netflix and Hulu, and like you're trying to look for a game, and it's like, wait, where the fuck's the game at? And so you have to scroll all the way to the library and like look it up, and if for some reason it goes to the PS store and then you have to press open, like it's kind of dumb. I don't understand why they had it like that. I wish you could just like press it and it opens up and that's it. But
oh, that's the other thing. I don't like the PlayStation Store on there. I don't know why. There's something about it that I just don't really like.
The PS4 store is garbage. I will say that. It takes a millennia to download anything. And I swear, I look up like I'll put the specific game and sometimes it just won't show up. And there's been times where I had to like literally look it up on my phone and go on the PS store on my phone to download something because I just can't find it. And that's especially true with DLC. I just can't find it for some reason. Like it always just show up the main game and then that's it.
Oh yeah, DLC is annoying to find. You had to search the game and then you'll find the DLC.
Yeah, like for Rainbow Six Siege 2 on the PS Store, looking at DLC, just don't even bother. Just open up Rainbow and then go into the store onto the game itself, and you'll find it, and it'll point you to the right direction. But yeah, the PS4 store, I don't know, it's essentially the same thing as the PS3 store, and it's just not good.
Yeah, but I will say the app is pretty good. I like the app. So
the app is amazing because it's fast. You just look up everything.
Yeah, you can find everything on there. So that's actually something I would say like, I guess like it makes up for it. You just don't go use it on the console. But since we're rating the console and not the app, that's what we're gonna go ahead and look at. And I don't like how to get your free game, it's not right there in front of you. Like it's like Xbox. You know how like Xbox will say, hey, here's your free games. Make sure to pick it up. You know. And they'll even have it where you can click on it and it'll be like right there. They'll show the whole free games. While like with PlayStation, it's like, you got to go to the store, scroll down to the PS Plus area, and then it'll be right there. And it's just like, I don't know. That's really annoying.
Yeah, that's very annoying. And that's another thing I want to point out too. With the Xbox, if you get Xbox Live Gold, you'll be able to, once you download your free game for the month, you'll be able to have it forever. It's just yours. And even if you don't have gold for the next month, you still have it. PS
Yeah.
Plus is locked unless you have PS Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I want to talk about, that the PS3 was free for online. You didn't need PS Plus. But the PS4, they made it so you had to get PS Plus to play online. And the online was still kind of garbage, to be honest. Like matches were still pretty laggy, and I still had a lot of issues most of the time. And I didn't really mind because PS Plus was pretty, it's pretty good. I mean, you literally get free games on PS4, PS3, and PS Vita. Like, that's 6 games, which is kind of insane. But now it's just only on PS4, and I'm not sure how they're gonna, use it for PS5 aside from PS Plus collection.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool that they're doing that, but again, it's just like a far cry from Xbox Game Pass, and just how Xbox handles everything on that storefront, and how everything, like all that stuff software side, they have everything like way better done than PS4 does.
Yeah, like Xbox is really good. I like the way how, and you can even still have Xbox games for free. They're still giving out Xbox games for free. Which is amazing.
It's insane. I still download games to my 360 all the time.
Really?
It's like, I might as well,
Oh, and that's the really cool thing too. Is like, oh yeah, and it like you have like Xbox Live or Gold, and it's like you have it for both, for the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. And now if you have the new Xbox, it's like, holy shit, that's like 3 consoles right there, and it's still going.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. But we'll get back onto like Series X and PS5 later on.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're talking about games. I think we'll transition out of software side.
There's something else to talk about the software. It's the internet connections, like the NAT types. That is atrocious. I absolutely hate it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Just like internet connection in general? Or?
Yeah. So like the internet connection. So I'll be like playing, right? And my NAT type would be like NAT type 3. Well, that means I can't connect to anybody with another NAT type. So it's like I would have to always constantly reset my Wi-Fi. And it's not really my Wi-Fi that's the issue. It's just the console does it like that way. It's just a retarded thing that it does, and I absolutely hate it. It's like I would have issues with playing with my friends with doing that. Oh, and then another thing that would happen that was a problem is, so I've lived with a roommate. And he would play console, and I would play console into my room, and he would be in the living room. And for whatever reason, his controller would go all wacky because of the Bluetooth on it. Like the Bluetooth on the PlayStation 4 is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would always like mess. Like he'll be playing, and then all of a sudden his controller would be wonky. Like he's moving where he shouldn't be moving. Like he already let go of the controller, and it's still going. And
oh wow, I never heard of these issues before. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then just recently, because he also has a Switch, like I decided, hey, I'm gonna play Switch while he's like playing his PS4, and I'll be sitting in the couch right next to him, and it would be the same thing. He would get all of a sudden like these Bluetooth errors going on with the controller. So I would have no problems with mine. So I think it was like something to do with the Bluetooth in the PlayStation 4 that just had issues. I even still had issues also. Like he'll maybe play Switch in the living room, and I'll be in my room, and I would still have like Bluetooth problems. So it has a very big problem with the Bluetooth.
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I gotta look up that stuff, because for me, I've never dealt with anything Wi-Fi problems with the PS4.
Oh yeah.
With the Wi-Fi, I have had problems with that. I will say that with Wi-Fi and PS4, it does not go very well. But I've since transitioned to using a cable for my PS4, and I haven't really had any issues like that come up.
Yeah, like it's good for when you're like with the LAN cable, yeah, but if you're doing wireless, oh my goodness, it's like a huge mess on there. And it's
yeah, for sure.
Like, and I used to live in a place where it didn't have like really good internet connections around, and I would always be at like NAT type 3, and it would be a pain in the butt to try and get connected with somebody. Like I can be in a party chat with them, but like the games just would not let show. Like a good example would be like Dark Souls. When you put down a summon sign, like they wouldn't be able to see my summon sign at all.
I think I remember this issue when we were playing Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, now you remember this? Yeah, it's because of the nat type would be all wacky. I'm pretty sure in some games it probably doesn't have it, but I can tell you for a fact that Dark Souls or like Bloodborne, like from software games, I know distinctly I would always have the issue with the nat type. And I guess it could be with other multiplayer games, but I didn't really play a whole lot of them, so really only like Dark Souls and maybe a little bit of Siege. But I recall I don't think I had an issue with Siege.
Yeah, maybe like huge multiplayer games like Siege and whatnot probably didn't have those issues, but like I could definitely see like Bloodborne or Dark Souls having those issues because while those are multiplayer, like the multiplayer is very incorporated in the game, it's not like the main focus of it. So maybe just like the servers on their end was also not very good either. So, but yeah, that's interesting. I never really come across the issue. Once I got the LAN cable, it was like, no more issues anymore.
Yeah, and, that you wouldn't have any issues with. But like those, I figured I might as well bring that up because I think it's a big issue with it.
Oh no, it is a big issue. I'm trying to think of other software issues I really had. The only things I can think of is like things that I accidentally brought onto myself, like. I used to unplug my console without turning it off like completely.
Oh yeah.
And that I remember I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn one time, and like my character, like I loaded up the world and it was all like fidgeting, and she had no face, and like I was just floating and like pretty much Gary modding everywhere. I was like, what the fuck is this? I went to Death Stranding and I was trying to play that, and like Norman Reedus wasn't talking, and then his head started going upside down. Oh. And I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm scared. And I found out it was because my hard drive got like corrupted because I kept doing that. So, but I mean that was all my fault though. I just didn't like turn it off correctly.
That was your fault. Oh, I just remembered another. This was actually hardware. But so I have the original console, which was with the touchpads, right? To eject discs and to power off. My eject button actually all of a sudden went really crazy, as in like it would just start ejecting discs like crazy. Like I'll be in the middle of playing a game and it would just eject it and like nothing would touch it, right? I even had it stand up straight just in case if it maybe was touching something from the bottom. But no, it would have that issue constantly. So what I actually had to do was I had to crack open my PlayStation 4 and put tape on the sensor. So now I can't use the eject button, but I use it on the console, like, eject disc. So I think, and that's a pretty common problem that some people experience.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem. Like even with like older consoles, my 360, that ejector port does not work. Like when I press the button on it anymore, I have to like manually take it out.
Oh, you have to manually.
Yeah, I assume just the ejector port eventually just gets old or something like that, and you have
to like a sensor.
That's definitely or the sensor in your point. Or
but I mean,
your situation.
It was having that issue before the new console came out, so it's just like, come on, bro. Like seriously?
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have something in there, I know things don't last forever, but it's a failure if you don't have the thing at least last till the moment that the new consoles come out, or at least a good amount of time on it, And I would say this is like a nitpick, honestly. I honestly don't like the power button where you can tap on it and it just goes to rest mode. I would rather have it be like tap and it'll be power off, because I would make that mistake all the time where I would just power it off and put it in rest mode, and then I wouldn't even notice it, and I came back home and it's like, oh, it's in rest mode the entire day. Good, wasted electricity.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I thought for hardware stuff, like this goes for computers too, but like I thought like if you turn off your console or your computer and then you use it like the same day, like that's kind of bad for it. Like you should only turn it off when you're not going to use it for a long period of time. But like having it on rest mode is actually better for both the software and the hardware in the both in the computer and the console. Just because it's good to keep it running and then to like have it on sleep and then to turn it on. That way you're not completely rebooting up the system like over and over again.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they did it. I mean, it is a little annoying because I know some people would rather. I wish you can like just set it to like, oh, I'd set this to turn off when I turn it off. But...
Yeah, I wish there was some way to customize like some of the stuff so it just does it like that way.
Yeah, because for me, that's why I had the hardware issue, because I would just turn it off and I thought it would be turned off. Like I pressed the button, I'm like, oh, okay, it's completely off, right? And then I unplug it, and then I didn't realize till later. I was like, oh, that's on rest mode. Like, what the fuck? Because my brother would do the same thing. He would move it. At one point, my brother would use, like, I had in my room the PS4, and then he would want to watch a movie in the living room. So he would just unplug it, thinking that it's off, and then you put it into the living room. So like us constantly kept doing that. I eventually made it to where like it fucked up the hard drive and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, most certainly. I don't know. It's just like I don't, and also I get the idea that it should be left on, right? But because it has that annoying like yellow light on the side, it's like it would probably bother me while I'm trying to go to sleep or something.
It's pretty minimal, but yeah, I can see it definitely annoying someone.
Yeah, I guess it is like a small nit. Like I said, these are really small nitpicks. So, but
they do add up after a while, though. So, I mean, you seem like you've had a lot of problems with your PS4.
Like, not like a lot of problems. Like, nothing where it was like, oh, you know, it was just more like a slice of life kind of thing. Like, if it was like a console that just broke and it just has like continuous problem with it, then yeah, that would be a problem. Like, I would say, I never experienced that on my 360, luckily, but yeah, like that. If it was something like that, oh my god, yeah, that would be pretty bad. Or like the infamous PSP battery, how it would always expand massively huge, and then you would always have to buy a new one.
Oh yeah, I remember that was a huge issue.
Yeah, now it's like what sucks is you can't even buy those anymore now. Like you can't.
Yeah, a lot of PSPs are gonna go in the grave.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for, I guess, I would have to say about it, about the design. Like I said, I bought the console so I can talk to friends and play games on it. So all the other stuff is just like, nitpicking, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the PS4 could have looked like a toilet, and I would have been like, I'm still getting it. But I still enjoy aesthetics above anything else. Yeah. I don't, for Pokemon, I'm like, if my Pokemon, I don't give a shit if it has the best stats in the world. I'm playing it because I'm gonna use it on my team because it looks fucking cool.
Oh,
I don't care about anything else.
That's the other thing. When the consoles first came out, it was supremely underpowered.
The Xbox One was, because it used to be an issue where the Xbox One would play games at 900p.
But I thought it was like also
PS4.
PS4 also was like very underpowered, like compared to what it needed to be. I mean,
I would say both consoles probably, were definitely a little bit underpowered than what PC could do. But the PS4 was definitely ahead of Xbox One. Xbox One, I don't know if you recall Call of Duty Ghosts, but there was an issue where on Xbox One, Call of Duty Ghosts would play at like a 900p, and then on PS4 it would play at 1080p. So like a lot of games on the original Xbox One had that issue. And there was I think it was because of the the architecture and of the console on Xbox One. They didn't know how to like utilize it to its full max. So you had that issue. But from my understanding from the past, that the PS4 was like definitely the stronger console.
Yeah, it was definitely like stronger. But I just remember like hearing a lot of people talking about like, okay, like how when PS3 and like Xbox 360 came out, it was like right along with PC. Usually that's how consoles are supposed to be. Is like they're supposed to be up with the PC. Of course, it's gonna get like pushed over in a couple like in 6 months or a year. It's like, oh, okay, now it's like PC is stronger. But like this one was like, oh no, you were really far behind on PC. And that's where we had that. Assume
for a lot of games like that, yeah.
And that's why we had that issue with storage. Like storage started becoming a big problem on those consoles. And now people are now saying like, no, now the PS5 and Xbox, the X is like definitely at where PC is at. Even people are saying this is actually a really good deal to get if you really want to do 4K gaming.
No, yeah, it's crazy. Like PC gaming and console gaming has never been this close, like neck and neck. Like no one's gonna be able to afford like that new graphics card that came out recently. Like no one could, unless you just have money to blow out of your ass. Like a lot of people can't afford that. And you look at Series X and PS5, like they're pretty reasonably priced for consoles that can play at like a lot, especially the Series X. The Series X can play games at 4K, 120 frames. Like that's insane. Like most people who have TVs don't even have like 120 refresh rate. They're not even able to utilize the console to its fullest max.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's insane how much more powerful those next gen consoles are. And yeah, I would say the PS4 definitely compared to the PC, it's very underpowered. There's a lot of games on the PC. Like even on my PC, I could run it better on my computer than it can on the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
But some games look pretty good. But that's our next topic, which will be covering the PlayStation 4 games. So
Ooh, the best part.
let's take a quick break, though, Scott. I'm gonna pause it right now. So let's talk about our favorite games of the console. So I'm gonna talk about we'll bring up 3 games and any honorable mentions you would like to bring up. But before we do that, I want to mention like just how many notable exclusives there are for the console, because I feel like a lot of people forget about that. Like I was talking to a friend the other day and he was like, there's like no games on PS4 pretty much, and I was like what are you talking about, man? Like I'll give out the list. This might not even be the full list, but I think this might be the full list for PS4. So, notable exclusives for the console are as follows: Days Gone, God of War, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, Uncharted 4, Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, Gran Turismo Sport, Killzone Shadowfall, Shadow of the Colossus Remake, The Last Guardian, Persona 5, Detroit Become Human, Spiderman, and Spider-Man Morales is one of these on here. It's surprising because I think a lot of people forget that's actually on PS4 as well.
And it's actually another game. It's not like an add-on.
Yeah, it's pretty much like I'll talk about it a little bit later, but you got Last of Us Part 2, and you got Part 1 as well. That's remade on there, but I'm not really sure if I count that one.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima, Infamous Second Son, and Infamous First Light, Ratchet and Clank, Gravity Rush 2, Until Dawn, Nioh 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Knack 1 and 2, Medieval, and there are a group of other smaller titles that I just could not find. But
Nioh is actually not an exclusive.
is it on Xbox One?
Yeah, I think so. And I remember my Andrew was just telling me how Horizon Zero Dawn, you can actually play that on PC.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games on PS4 you can play on PC through PS Now. PS Now kind of works like Game Pass, where you can play it on the computer.
Yeah.
So a lot of those games you can play on computer. I believe Nioh 1 at least was a PS4.
Yeah, I think Nioh 1 maybe.
I thought Nioh 2 would be too, but I think I remember it.
I'm fact checking you. I'm fact checking you.
You might be fact checking me correctly, because I thought for sure Nioh. I know Nioh 1 was at least a PS4 exclusive for a little bit, but those games are also coming to the PC. But I mean, this is a big ass list of exclusives, and I think the only problem I have with the exclusive list here is a lot of them are just third person action games, but they do have quite a bit of other games. Like they have Persona 5 and Detroit Becomes Human is pretty unique in itself. That and Until Dawn are pretty unique games.
By the way, you are correct. Nioh and Nioh 2 is PlayStation exclusive, so my source is 100% wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought for sure I saw them I remember that was like the other PlayStation 4 exclusive coming out this year, because there was like 3. This has been a good year for PS4 exclusive. It was Last of Us 2, Nioh 2, and Ghost of Tsushima. So pretty strong list of contenders.
I really wanted to buy that game so badly.
Which one?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, man. Black Friday was like sale for $30. It they added the co-op DLC for it, so that's a pretty good deal for that kind of game. So I heard it was really good as well.
I was trying to do that to buy at Target because they were doing a buy 2 get 1 free. So I thought I could get that game, but for some reason it wasn't part of the deal. I was like, but it says all games here, and they're like, yeah, I know, but I don't know why. So I ended up just sticking with Sekiro.
Silly. Oh man, I love Sekiro. That's amazing.
I haven't touched it yet. I have not touched it, but I'm excited to try it. I'm ready to get my ass beaten in that game.
Oh yeah. Tell me if you beat it, or if you get through it. Tell me if you like it more than Bloodborne, because it's weird, because that game I'm having a really hard time determining which one I like more, because they're both just magnifico.
New video content: Sekiro or Bloodborne.
Honestly, but let's get on with I did make a list, but they're not really in particular order, except one of them is, but we'll get to that later. But I wanted to just talk about 3 games we really liked for the console because I've not played all these games whatsoever. Like I bought Medieval at Best Buy because it was like $10, and I forgot that was even a console exclusive, or I forgot it even came out. Honestly, I forgot they did a remake for it.
Honestly, I have no idea what game that is.
That's the
I have
PS1
no
game
idea.
with like like that character who's like a skeleton and he has like a sword and whatnot.
Oh yeah. I remember. I know
Yeah,
that.
my friend Zach has been raving about it, so I'm like, all right, I'll get it, but I just have not touched it yet. But a lot of these are really good, and I played a lot of these. And one of them that I really, really enjoy is Nioh. And I like Nioh a lot because, well, like we just said, we're big Dark Souls fans. Like, pretty much our whole friend group is. I personally started out with Dark Souls 2, and then I made my way and played Bloodborne, then Dark Souls 3, and then I actually went backwards, and then I went back to play Dark Souls 1, and I played Demon Souls. And those games are just great. I love playing them. But Nioh is not exactly like those games, but it takes a lot of inspiration from those games for sure. But the thing I like about it is that it was made by Team Ninja, and I don't know if you know Team Ninja, but they also made the Ninja Gaiden remake games. And I recently played those this year, and I really, really enjoy them. Like, they're really fun action adventure games, and they pull a lot of inspiration from that, from Dark Souls, and from a bunch of different games into a really good culmination of its own thing. And it does a lot of things different. It does a lot of things the same, but I think it strikes a good balance between them, and it doesn't feel like it's more like, it doesn't feel like a copycat per se. But yeah, I really like it. It's also the first game on PS4 from what I can recall that utilizes like you have the choice to utilize movie mode or game mode, which I don't remember a lot of PS4 games doing this, but you could have a higher resolution but lower frame rate, or you can have higher frame rate and lower resolution, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, this is a fantastic game. It's a really fun hack and slash game. It's a little bit it's a lot linear than I guess the Souls games, although that's kind of iffy because I think Dark Souls 1's probably like the one that's like very like the most non-linear one. The rest of them kind of are a little bit linear, but
No, I don't think so. I don't agree with that one. Dark Souls 1 is somewhat linear because there is a right path of doing it until the very end of the game.
There's a right path, but you don't necessarily have to follow that path. You can kind of go in like you can go about it in different directions and stuff like that.
Then you could say that about Dark Souls 2 then, like at the beginning where it's like, oh, you got many areas to go and explore. Like you choose what you want.
Okay, then yeah, I'll retract that statement then. But
Yeah.
Nioh is a little bit lot straightforward because you take on missions and stuff, and you have to fill out the mission objectives and whatnot and stuff. But I just really like this game. It's really fun to play through. I've been meaning to beat it. I got probably to like probably the 30 or 40 hour mark, and I need to go back, and I just have a giant backlog to go through. But I know our friend Andrew had before the game came out, there was like 15 million demos for this fucking thing. Like there was like the alpha, the beta, the alpha beta, the pre-launch beta. Like there were so many different demos for it, and I was like, is this game ever even gonna come out at this point? But I'm glad I finally played it. It was free on PS Plus for a little bit, but it's a fantastic game. And if you like the Souls games or Ninja Gaiden, this is definitely one of those games to go and play.
I should probably pick it up and play it, but I get discouraged because it's just like, if I'm gonna play a Dark Souls game, I'm just gonna wait until From Software to make a new game.
That's the thing too. I like it back because it holds me over for like those new games coming out. But I actually find them a little bit more enjoyable than some of the other Souls games, specifically Dark Souls 1. Because like this is gonna be a hot take, but I don't really care for Dark Souls 1 that much, and I think Nioh is like a lot better than that game. It's a really fun game.
That's a pretty hot take right there, boy.
Pretty hot take. I mean, hey, like, game was good for its time for sure, and it definitely is pretty popular. But I don't know. I like Demon Souls a lot better than Dark Souls 1, to be perfectly honest.
I guess one to their own. But like, what's the difference like between the Dark Souls games to Nioh?
I guess it's a little bit specifically with the Dark Souls like 1, 2, and 3. It's definitely a little bit more fast paced. There's a little bit more technique to how you go about it. There's a lot more emphasis on using like guns and your archers and stuff to like get weak points on enemies. I don't really ever utilize any of that stuff in the other games like that. I kind of just like hit shit until they die.
That's true. Like you're never gonna use the bow unless if it's like for the Drake sword in Dark Souls 1 or to snipe in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, and another thing too is that it does have a bigger emphasis on story that is very much in the backseat of those games, of the Souls games. Like they're not really in the forefront. You can get into it by going like and like looking at the lore, but I mean like you really aren't gonna know much unless you like look up a YouTube video and some guys explaining it to you. At least from my point of view. And Nioh takes a lot more of a cinematic approach to the things, and they put a lot more emphasis into what you're doing and why you're doing it and whatnot. I think the combats is a lot more enjoyable too. I like the three prong stances. Like there's a high stance that gives you high damage output but slower reaction time. Then there's medium standpoint where it gives you the best of both worlds, and the low standpoint gives you less power but like better reaction time to stuff. So it's a lot more intuitive.
It's more technical.
Yeah, a lot more technical, a lot more intuitive. I find the sword play just really fun. And like it filled in my like that samurai. Like I really want to play a samurai game, and that kind of filled in my void up until Sekiro came out. And then I will say Sekiro just kind of like, I don't know. That's just a whole other game on itself. I fucking love that game too, but Nioh is definitely a game that I'll remember for a while. It's a really fun game.
All right. Do you want to keep on going with your 3 games, or should I jump in mine?
No, yeah, jump in to do yours. Let's see one yours.
So like mine isn't really in particular order, and also like I don't like really rating them, but these are definitely, to my opinion, is like 3 games that are like a must. Like you have to play these games, I feel, or you're just really missing out. So I just recently I haven't beaten it officially yet, but I've been playing Persona 5 Royale, and that game is definitely worth to buy. I would definitely say if you haven't bought Persona 5 or haven't played it, just play Persona 5 Royale, because it's just an upgraded, better version and longer story, which you want to have, because by the time you get to the end, you're going to be like, I want more Persona. Like, Persona is a JRPG game, but it has its own little, like, uniqueness to it. It has style. Like, it's not your more traditional RPG games or JRPG games like Final Fantasy. It has its own take on it, and it's something really great about it. Like, you can absorb your life into this. Like, right now, I think I'm at 150 hours into this game, and I'm still not like done yet. I'm almost done. I probably have like maybe 30 more minutes on it, maybe, possibly, probably like an hour more like it. But the combat on it, it's just like it's definitely like turn-based, but it's the way of like, oh, you're trying to figure out the weaknesses of these like demons or shadows that they call them, but they're basically based off of mythological like creatures, and you're just trying to find out their weaknesses, and you have your own persona, and then you have your own team persona. It's really convoluted to really talk about, like, exactly in details how the combat works, but it's definitely really good. And the music in that game is absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the best soundtracks I have ever listened to in a video game. Probably the best one. And the game is based on, like, you're a high school kid / also superhero dealing with stuff. And it's very anime-esque. So that's about all I have to say about the game, but it's definitely a very much worth your time playing, if you have the time to play like a 150-hour game.
That's the thing. I really, really want to get into Persona 5 because I love the art style. I love the music. Like, I listen to the soundtrack a lot when I'm like doing homework, because I'm like, this is really jazz inspired, and it sounds really
very
good.
Very jazz.
I love the way it looks. I love the way like the characters interact. The combat looks really fun. But it's one of those games, because I'm a full-time college student, full-time worker. I'm doing a bunch of different shit, so it's kind of hard to find time. So this is definitely, once I'm done with school, I'm going to sit down and play this game and Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, I want to play these games because I just hear so much stuff about it. And I know if I get stuck into it, I'm going to just want to keep playing it. And I want to dedicate a good amount of time to like post-college years to play those, because they look really fun. And with Royale is like, what's the difference between Royale and the original? Because I don't really know any differences besides like maybe DLC or something.
So I actually was playing Persona 5, but I'd never beaten it. I was very close to to beating it. But since I heard that Royale was coming out, I was like, I might as well like just not play it at all. Because I was in the same position as you, Kyle, where it was like, oh, I stopped because I started getting busy. And sooner or later, I was like, oh my God, it's been so long. I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just stopped playing it. But definitely when I was playing Royale, the game looks better because the thing was that Persona 5 was originally supposed to be on the PS3, but because the PS4 was already out for a while, like for 2 years, they decided to finally release it, but they also released the PS3 version. So the PS4 version got kind of like watered down. But now they made it better looking in certain areas. They added more towns to explore Shibuya, because this is based on Japan Shibuya area, so you can kind of explore some of the culture behind like Japan a little bit in there on your days that you're being like a high school student. And then they added new characters to interact with, and again they added another part to the story. And it's kind of like how Persona 4 Golden was. So and a lot of people just say, if you're gonna play Persona 4, just get Golden, because it's just like it's that much of an upgrade that it's kind of worth doing.
Okay. Yeah, I probably have to do that. I bought it the original Persona 5 for like $10, and I was like, I don't need a gold. It's like $60. Like, what the hell? But now that I know this, I'll probably get gold later on just so I can play the better version, because I did forget it was on PS3 as well. I think a lot of people forget about that because like no one really, I don't know. There's a lot of games coming for like old consoles that people are just like, what? They still do stuff for this? And it's like, yeah, like Persona 5 was like one of the more major releases to get released on PS3 as well.
Well, it was only because they had that promise that the game was going to come out on PC. I mean, PC3, PlayStation 3.
PC3.
So, I know.
Dude, if PC is so great, why isn't there PC 2? Riddle me that, bro. Riddle me that.
Seriously. But definitely you should pick up Royale if you can, or just borrow from me because I'm almost done with it. And like I said, they changed a lot of different characters, like storylines in this game. Like one of them is like kind of like your rival, and they changed his way of progression instead of like Persona 5 is still good to play. It's still really good, and it still tells like a really good story. But definitely Royale like ups it up a little bit, you know? It gives that little boost of like, oh yeah, this is really nice.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good pick. I would say a lot of people who have a PS4 would probably mention Persona, because it looks like a pretty fun game. I can't wait to experience it myself.
Yes, but it's worth it.
All right. I'll go on to my next one, which is the very controversial Last of Us Part 2. I don't know. Did you play this game, Scott? Okay. Well,
have not.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Last of Us Part 2, it's obviously everyone is very up in arms about it. Or it's either you're up in arms about it, you love it, not really much in between. Although I guess I'm kind of in between. I'm the outsiders. But anyways, what I like about this game, well, it's probably the best graphically impressive game I've ever witnessed on PS4. It looks fucking fantastic. Like it almost makes me like wonder why is there even a next generation consoles kind of thing. It's like it's that good where it's like, damn, like I can't believe you can get this much fidelity out of it. And that kind of
don't have to hear jet engine.
Yeah, so you don't hear jet engine anymore. The PS3, the original Last of Us on PS3 was like the same thing with me too. I was like, why are we even getting next gen consoles? Like this game looks amazing. Although I went back and played Last of Us and it didn't hold up as much as I remembered. But anyways, Last of Us Part 2 combat was extremely expanded on from the first game. Going back and playing the first one was very, I don't know, you just threw bricks at people and like you just kill them. Like it's very bare bones, kind of boring, and it's also a really short game. But the second one, it just expands everything that the first one did, but makes it 100% better. I did put for one of my points on here on the script is that it has a good story, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And yeah, I love the characters in it. I love the combat. I love the way the game looks. And let's talk about the story, because the story I put in both the things I liked and the things I didn't like column. So Yeah, so the story, I'm not gonna go into full spoilers. I guess it's kind of hard to with this game because this game like you kind of need to. But um, I really liked the game all the way up and probably until the ending, and I didn't hate the ending. I just thought it was a little underwhelming and not really well deserving. I guess I would say. I guess that's a perfect way of saying it. Like, if it definitely could have been handled a lot better, but overall, the whole story I really really enjoyed. I don't think it's as good as the first one because the first one just focuses on two characters really, and that's what makes the first game so fun and like everyone loves Joel and Ellie. And the second game doesn't do that, and it has all these new cast of characters and you know the I guess I'm gonna spoil it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure at this point everyone knows when Joel dies and whatnot, everyone's very upset about that, and yeah, that was pretty upsetting. But like all the new characters they introduce are amazing. I love all the voice actors for it, and they write them, and they're really compelling to me personally. So, but just the ending is kind of hit or miss with some people. I personally didn't really enjoy it that much. I thought it would have been a lot better, a lot more enjoyable, for a bittersweet ending. But instead, we got like a very fucking dark, drab ending, which I understand. Like the world is like shitty. It's not like The Best of Us. It's The Last of Us. So of course, you're gonna get like kind of a doom gloom. But even then, it's still just like, it's kind of odd for the most part. I wasn't that enthralled by it, but overall, I still enjoyed the story. Another thing I didn't like about it was I really wish there was a PvP in the game, like the first game, because I really liked the PvP in the first game. But
oh yeah,
there's a spin-off game coming out that's I think it's gonna be called Factions or something like that. It's gonna evolve around like the different factions, The Last of Us Part 2, but it's gonna be its own multiplayer game. It's either gonna be its own game or an update for it. I'm not sure which one comes, but I hope it's just an update for the game because that would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, I love The Last of Us Part 2. I waited 7 years for that game to come out, and it disappointed me a little bit, but overall, I still really enjoyed it, and I'll never forget playing that game. It was really good.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the developers or the story like people were just like, honestly, I don't even know how we're gonna be able to make this a better story than what was Last of Us. That's where they relied heavily on the game development areas. Like, hey, you guys got to make this game feel fun and feel exciting to play. Like, it has to be a big upgrade compared to what it was on the first Last of Us. So I think that's why they went into like a really bad story. I think isn't like the main theme like, oh, revenge is bad.
Yeah, essentially, pretty much. Like one of the main story themes is revenge is bad. The full circle thing and the cycle of revenge. Those are the things that kind of annoy me because it's like they're just trying to hit you on the hammer, like hit you on the head with a hammer, kind of like, oh, revenge is bad, violence is bad, don't do violence. But it's kind of mute when you kill like a fucking 1,000 people, and then like you kind of like, oh, I can't kill this person. And there's certain points in the story where it's like that doesn't make any sense. Like you just killed like all these people. Like what are you on about, kind of thing.
But it's like supposed to be like they reflect on it like right when they're finally there. They're finally there to kill, I guess, someone, and they just can't. I don't know.
Yeah, they just have a moment of clarity in them, and they're like, oh wait, I can't do it. And it's just like, bitch, no, yeah, you can. Like, what are you talking about? You can. You literally went from there to point A to point B. Took months.
You got a brick. Just toss it.
Just get the brick and fucking bash that bitch's brains in. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's certain stuff to the story I don't really particularly care for. I will say this: people constantly berate and get really mad at Neil Druckmann, and I don't understand that because Neil Druckmann also was the creative director and the writer of the first game. People act like he like went into the second game and like took over, and it's like, bro. He's one of the directors and creators of the first game. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I was talking to somebody about this recently, and like they were just like, yeah, like he ruined it. And it's like, he made the first one. What are you talking about? And I don't think he ruined it because there was another writer on there, that some woman from Westworld, and I feel like a lot of the writing wasn't really Neil Druckmann for the most part. It was the other lady. I mean, I don't know how the development went. I mean, Neil Druckmann's taking on a lot of larger managerial roles within the company. Like I think yesterday he's the co-president of Naughty Dog now. So he went from like, oh wow, yeah, I mean he's moved up the ranks. Like it's insane. So I don't know, maybe if like midway through development he just kind of didn't have much to say. He wasn't contributing nearly as much as he did with the first game. I'm not sure what really the development cycle looked like, but I think for certain it seems like a lot of the writing went to the other lady. I forgot her name, but I don't think it's bad writing for the most part. I just think the story could have definitely been cleaned up a little bit, and not as jangled up.
Honestly, I think what would have been better is just to do a different characters in the world, because there's other people in this world that they can easily explore into, instead of just being like, oh, with this one character, Ellie, and Joel, and like there's other people who are going through some bullshit that they could have easily expanded on, and they didn't have to continue the story. I don't know, that's how I like to see it. It's like I felt like they could have just done that, but I guess people wanted to know what happens to Ellie, what happens to Joel.
Oh, you mean like a Life is Strange kind of fiasco where they have like a whole new like cast of characters or something?
I guess something like that. I'm more in that kind of boat of like I like those kind of games now. It's like I like the idea of like it's like Persona. Like each game is like a different set of people, and it's like they're going through a different set of problems, and I think that's cool because then you get to understand a huge like another aspect of this.
Yeah, I think that too, because the WLF, the Washington Liberation Front, and the Seraphites starting the game, I would have much rather had like a separate story of just Abby's the main character, and she's going against like the Seraphite. Like that would have been such a more interesting dynamic than having Ellie thrown into, because Ellie kind of just gets thrown into the mix and kind of like, I don't know, a lot of the time she kind of just feels like she's in the back burner for most of the game. Mm-hmm. So I think it would have been a lot better overall if they just kind of like left Ellie and Joel like kind of like up in the air, like they get there and everything's fine, and
because
they just
now they
move on to somebody else.
They're setting themselves in this trap now, because now it's like if they want to do a part 3, they're gonna have to continue with Ellie now, because now people are gonna expect that now, instead of just being able to do a whole another story. Like they should have just done Abby the whole story about a different person, and I think people would have been like understanding, oh, so you're going in this approach of going in a whole nother like world, we're going through other people's lives, because like the title isn't Ellie and Joel part 1, part 2, it's The Last of Us, The Last of Us part 2. Like it should be different people.
Yeah, no, I see your point. I think that would have been a lot more interesting, because I really like the Seraphites and WLF, and I think it would have been a little bit better if they just focused on a new cast of characters than just just have it be on the Ellie and Joel adventure again. Because it wasn't even Ellie's. Like, I think about it too, it's very mismarketed, because they have Ellie on the cover, and they when they first had it like promoting it and stuff, it seemed like they were focusing on Ellie, and then it's like, oh, you're not focusing on Ellie, and it kind of like that definitely angered fans too, because like they're just like, I don't want to play this other character, even though this character is amazing. I think Abby's a wonderful written character, but people associate The Last of Us with Joel and Ellie, and I think that's why a lot of people got really upset. But I do think it would have been better if they just kind of like didn't address them and they just had a whole new story, which I always like that too. I always like chronological, or like Fargo, for instance, the TV show. I really like Fargo because every season is different. Like they might utilize some same actors, but like it's every season's different story, different area, and I think that's what makes the show a lot more interesting compared to other shows.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I've been starting to like more non-chronological stories. Like you can still make a good chronological story, but sometimes it just feels like it doesn't need to. Sometimes it's like you can broaden it. That's why I guess I don't like Star Wars now, is because it's not like that anymore. It's still trying to drag on what was great about the previous Star Wars. So, I think it should just, like, Mandalorian is just succeeding because of that. Anyway, we're getting really sidetracked. So, Last of Us Part 2 is bad? Yeah.
I would rate Last of Us Part 1 and 2 on the same equal level field. I'd probably give them both 8s if I were to give it a numerical score. I would say that Last of Us Part 1 has great story. No, amazing story, poor gameplay. And Last of Us Part 2 has great gameplay and I guess above average story. I'll definitely say, I wouldn't say it's a bad story. I would say it's an above average story, but nothing that that really makes it like good kind of thing.
Yeah, I get you. All right. So I'll talk about the other game that I have, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say Spider-Man for me. I haven't played Miles Morales, but from what I've seen, it seems really good, and I like it from what like I said, seen. But Spider-Man, I don't know. I really liked it. I know a lot of people would call it like, oh, it's just like an Assassin's Creed / Batman, Arkham City game. And yeah, it's kind of right. They're right on that. It kind of is. But it's just something about playing as Spider-Man and just swinging around. You can't really do that with any other like games. Like only this can work for Spider-Man, and that's it. The idea of being able to climb up a building, and web sling across New York City. It's just you can't really do that with other characters, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's just something really cool about it. The story and gameplay was really good too. I like the gameplay. It's basic, easy to play. It's just sock 'em and rock 'em kind of game. Just button mash, but it's like you can customize the way how Spider-Man plays out, what's his super like. There's even challenges in there, which I really did enjoy doing those challenges, because they'll be like, oh, don't get hit by this, or you had to dodge this many times. It made me had to change the way how I gameplayed, and then it also made me go like, oh, I actually like this now, and I tried different ways of playing, or even using different like tools and equipment that it works out for me. So that's how I would say about like Spider-Man. Have you played it, Kyle?
I watched my brother play it, and I played a little bit of it. I don't know what happened. Like it kind of just came out in a time where I didn't really care for it. I think because I just recently I think around that time I was playing Middle Earth Shadow Mordor, and I just beat Batman Arkham City again.
Oh, you got
yeah. So I was kind of like looking at it. I was like, this kind of just looks like those. So I'm like, I think I'm good. But I want to give it a try, because like Insomniac makes amazing games, and I'm like, I know these games are good. I just like haven't been wanting to play it.
It's honestly worth playing, I would say. Whenever you get out of that finicky kind of feel of it, like the repetitive gameplay style. But I don't know. I like Spider-Man a lot, and so for me, this was like something that I really liked, and I really I wish though that there would be more mini games like how it was on the Spider-Man 2, where you had to do pizza deliveries. I would have loved if they had that in the game, and then bring back the pizza song, and I would have loved if they did that, but they didn't. But that's okay. Like I said, the game feels good. It's really fun to swing around New York City. I'm trying my best to refuse to say, oh, it's like you're Spider-Man. It really makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I would love to give it a try. I just I'm still kind of in that same rut, but I'm assuming I'll get out of it soon and hop on that Spider-Man dick. Because I mean, I enjoy Spider-Man too, or Spider-Man as well. I don't think I love it like some people do, but it's definitely a good IP, and so yeah, I would like to play that game. I'll probably when I get the PS5, I'll probably get the remaster for it, so I can play it in glorious 4K 60 frames.
Oh yeah, that's gonna look really good. Oh, and the game looks really nice. I don't know, it really does look spectacular to just swing around in there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure it does. I really want to play that. I really want to play Miles Morales for sure. Like I love Miles Morales from the comics, so I'm like, hell yeah, I really want to play this Puerto Rican protagonist. Like I'm like, I didn't realize how many like there's like not many Puerto Rican protagonists we have in games, so it's like, oh wow, he's like on the forefront of the PS5 as well. Like everyone.
Oh no, there's like a lot of misrepresentation in a lot of video games. Like I feel like they miss out on like Asians for one. Asians don't really get a huge amount of representation unless if it's like, a Japan game or something, or like
like Ghost of Tsushima recently.
Yeah, but they're only categorized as that one kung fu guy or that one samurai guy, right? It's never been like, oh, they can be something else. Like they're not just kung fu people. It's same thing like how the villain in Spider-Man, like, it's a Chinese guy, and of course his minions all wear like the samurai, or they use samurai swords, and it's just like, Asians can be something else, like they don't just stick with Asians.
That's why I think Last of Us 2, because the main characters are all multi-ethnic people. It's cool,
Yeah, but it's not like a huge big deal to me though.
I like representation in games, but it's not something I like. I'll hound you for
defend or like, you're like, oh, I want my games to be like with different kind of ethnic backgrounds in it, blah blah blah, or I want more strong female protagonists. And I'm not gonna be like that. If you can make a good game, like Miles Morales, they don't like hound it onto you. I feel like, oh, he's a black Puerto Rican, Spider-Man. They don't really hammer that down, I feel like, too much.
No, not at all, really. They really like, they dress it like a little bit in like the trailers, but like they don't really like, they don't make that the main staple of his character. His character's not that he's black and Puerto Rican. Like, they make it because he's fucking Spider-Man,
Yeah, that's what I want them to do, is just don't try and make it forced into it. Just do it, and then that's it. You make their character. Now, if you want to bring in like some political stuff into it, I guess that's fine. I think that would be kind of interesting for people to see life in a different, person, a different experience.
I think it makes the experience a little bit better, or not. I think it makes it a little bit better because you can have like another layer of like how this person is perceived in society, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't necessarily mind it. Like, I know with one of the other games that you mentioned that you really like is Star Wars. Was it Fallen Order?
Yeah.
That like people got really upset that like the main character was like another white guy, and like it's kind of annoying that it's just it's just another like white male protagonist looking at this like that's like saving everybody, and all your counterparts are all like minority people and stuff like that. That's a little annoying, but like it's not detrimental to the game itself, because at the end of the day,
exactly,
like, they're Jedi. It's like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, I wish they could have made it in that game where it was like the big flaw of that game is I feel like they should have definitely had it where you just customize your own character. Like, the main character is whatever you make. I don't know why they didn't do that. Like, I guess maybe because they wanted to make sure it looked very realistic, because the game looks fantastic. It looks very good and very realistic, like the face features, because they used human models to do those kind of things. So I guess maybe that's why they never did it. But I mean, who doesn't want to customize their own like Star Wars character? Like, I would have loved to play as like an alien Jedi instead of like a human basic, guy.
Yeah, dude, are you kidding me? I would have loved to look like the Conehead guy from from episode 3. That'd be cool.
No, I want to look like the guy that does the flute noises in the ones that have like the big pink heads. I don't know if you remember, like they're playing the band like at the bar.
Those guys, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah, that would be kind of funny to have. But I guess because that would ruin the whole seriousness they were trying to go with the game, like. It'll be kind of looking really goofy, but I don't know. Like, I would think it would have been better if they would have allowed you to customize your own characters, but whatever. Go ahead and go on to your game.
Well, I mean, I was just say let's just go on to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because we're talking about it.
Oh, but, okay.
I was gonna mention because I played like 3 hours of the game. I need to go back and play it, but I fucking loved the intro. The intro was so cool. Like, I was man, this is awesome. And then like. The first world you go to, you're just fighting like pig monsters, and I was like, oh, this is kind of lame. But
it builds up. Trust me, it gets a lot better. So like with Fallen Jedi, what I think, I know it's not an exclusive, but it's just an honorable mention. I feel with this game, it's because what it did was really great. If you like Dark Souls, you'll like this game. Not because it's hard, so blah blah. No, it's like the combat is very much like Dark Souls, where you have to be patient, you have to think out your kind of like strategy in fighting these enemies. And then what else it also creates is like it creates this like really cool like worlds. Like each area that you are in, it's like it's like a Metroid game. Like you're trying to find everything, like every nook, every cranny, and sometimes it'll show you, oh, you can't explore here. You have to wait until you get like an upgraded part, or oh, you got to get this ability, or you have to do that. And I don't know. I always loved those games to be able to go back and be able to see, oh, now I can go here. Now I see what was over here or stuff like that. And that's why the beginning area, it's very boring because you can't really explore too much. Well, you can, but it's just like you're kind of seeing a bunch of roadblocks. Like, oh, I can't go here. I can't go here. But it's honestly really cool to play that game and just go back to like certain planets. And like I said, it's just really fun with like the Metrovania, and the combat never gets old. Like even basic enemies, it's like, oh yeah, like I could die from them, if I'm not careful enough. Or just like, and the platforming too. There's actually some platforming and puzzles. The puzzles are really fun to use because I don't know. I always like playing with puzzles and you're having the Force to kind of use it. I think that's what's so great about Star Wars and how they can just make it into video games because of the Force. It's a very like a video game gamey kind of mechanic. So the game itself is like really good. Combat's great, and customizing your own lightsaber is also really cool. I don't know. The game is just fantastic.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised how well the game is received and how good it was, because EA's had a terrible track record with like their Star Wars games they've been releasing, specifically Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, especially 2. 2 was like, that was like panned by like everybody when it first came out. Like even like major video game news organizations were like, this game is not good. Like they kept commenting on the loot box system and whatnot. And I think EA has definitely calmed down because of that, because like they didn't realize how many.
Well, they went to court. Like they were getting like press charged on it because they were saying, hey, this is like gambling, isn't it?
Yeah, kids are playing in Hawaii, I thought it was in Hawaii. They actually they were passing legislation to address that, and that's insane to me that a game is so hated that fucking politicians have to get in it. Like that kind of like speaks volumes on like how bad they handled Battlefront 2. They have kind of made amends with it, and like the game is a lot better, obviously. But yeah, Fallen Order is like a hidden gem in the shit, it's like it's a single player third person action game that's kind of reminiscent of Dark Souls, and it's made by one of my more favorite newer studios, Respawn Entertainment, that's done the Titanfall and Titanfall 2 franchise. And it's great. Yeah, it was a pretty fun game when I was playing it. I want to go back and finish it. Probably on the PS5 I will, because it will play at 60 frames. Yeah,
and EA made it. Out of all the people, like EA was like on it. It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, because I wasn't sure what was going on with EA, because they canceled that. They canceled another like third-person action single-player Star Wars game.
I think it was a bounty hunter game, wasn't it?
Yeah, like, it was with Amy Hennig, the writer of the Uncharted series. She was in charge of that.
Wow.
And they canceled that. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I can't recall, but. Like, I wasn't sure what was happening with Star Wars and EA, and it's like, I'm glad this came out of that, though, because,
Oh, yeah. Like, and I hope, like, because of how much sales they got, like, people, they're willing to take a chance on this. Because they were thinking, oh, there isn't no market for this stuff. Like, nobody wants single-player games. Like, nobody wants this stuff. And you know what? The game sold really well, and they were actually surprised by it. Like, they're like, oh, maybe we should make some more. Now, are they? I don't know.
They did confirm a second game coming out already for this specific series.
Oh, well, they should, because it ended with a cliff note anyway, like a cliffhanging moment. So, yeah, they had to, that's, like, one bad thing, is the ending has, it's a pretty bad ending. Like, oh, clearly they were leaving it, like, for, like, the next game to come in.
Yeah, a lot of games do that, especially like new IPs. They'll do that just so like, hey, support us, kind of thing. So,
yeah. But that's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's just an honorable mention that should be played, and you can play it on all consoles.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we'll go on to my final game, but before we get on to that, I do want to mention some honorable mentions. I think we both kind of in agreement with this, but the Kingdom Hearts, the Story So Far collection, this isn't really this is not a PS4 exclusive. It's on Xbox One as well, but I wanted to mention this because this is such an amazing package for what you're paying for. Like $40 for 3 full-fledged console games and a bunch of other side games and movies. Like, talking about hundreds of hours worth of content in like $40, and it's unbelievable because people won't really remember. But I mean, people do remember. But like, you had to like get like 6 different consoles to play the Kingdom Hearts story to understand the story. You know, before YouTube and shit, it's like I have to get a PSP. Oh no, like Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, it's on PS2. Okay, got it. You know, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Oh, it's on Game Boy. Okay, I guess I'll get a Game Boy, and then Kingdom Hearts 2 on PS2 is again. And then the rest of them all just came out on random consoles like PSP, and you got fucking Union that came out on the phone. Like, you know,
Oh yeah.
all those games get packaged into one package. It's simply amazing, and that's definitely like a contender for like one of my more favorite PS4 games because I play a lot of hours. I actually didn't think I was gonna enjoy Rechain of Memories, and I really liked it. And Kingdom Hearts 2 has kind of become one of my more favorite third-person action games. I would put it up there with like Devil May Cry and the rest of them because it's so fun playing that game. And,
It is. It's like, it's cool how you upgrade it and you're just like this beast of like, you're in the air like for a long ass time with combos that are ridiculous. Though it is really dumbed down combat where you're just button mashing X, 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 X.
Yeah, essentially, but it's still like I don't know. I love style. I kind of like style over substance in some regards with some of my games, and Kingdom Hearts 2
That's
is one
true.
of those games where I'm like I don't care because I don't give a piss all about the story at all. But like I love like just beating down on a Heartless or something or a nobody, and just
a lot of the bosses are fun too.
yeah, and it has really good post game content. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 in itself is like all the more reason to get this package. I would say Kingdom Hearts 2 is like the best game on the package personally.
Yeah.
But the other games are really good. Like Kingdom Hearts 1 is like a classic, and all the other remasters they have for the game are just fantastic. And
they all play 60 frames per second.
they all play in glorious 60 frames. I never had a single hiccup at all with any of the games. Just an amazing collection, and definitely like I'm definitely gonna keep this game like forever, just because it's a great collection.
It's one of the best collections probably ever. Like, I don't know, it's just something really great about it. It's like they made the games very well made, and like they kind of like brushed over the games that aren't really good, and or even games that was like Birth by Sleep. They pretty much had to remake that whole thing, really, pretty much, because it was on a PSP. So it like the amount of upgrade they did to the PS4 is wow, a lot.
Yeah, man, it's insane.
Also, they're in Final Mix version, which Final Mix was never really approved here. You would get the Japanese version of the Final Mix.
That's right. Final Mix had a lot of good quality of life improvements. Like you couldn't before Final Mix, you couldn't skip cutscenes after you watched them, or if you couldn't skip cutscenes. So if like you died to a boss, you had to watch the whole cutscene play out. And
Kingdom Hearts 1, yeah.
And Kingdom Hearts 1 was like that, and like a lot of other improvements. They added more content. Made the games
a lot more content.
Yeah, a lot more content. So
well, specifically for Kingdom Hearts 2, a lot. That game has a lot of end game content. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I love finding all the Organization 13 members.
Oh, that's a really cool thing to do. And them fighting like that one really hard boss fight. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there's that one.
That one's pretty cool
if
too.
You know what? Yeah, No Name. I think that's what they call it. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely a really fun, enjoyable package to play.
Yeah, for sure. But let's go on to my final favorite PlayStation 4 game. This is the game you get, like, people ask, like, what's the point of getting PS4? You get it because of this game. And that's From Software's 2015 Bloodborne. All of our friends pretty much universally love this game, and I'm no different. I fucking absolutely love Bloodborne. When I first got a PS4, I didn't really have a game I really liked for it. Like I really liked Infamous Second Son, and that was a really fun game to play through. But when Bloodborne came out, oh my god, I could not stop. I could not set it down. Like I just played it for like months on end with friends, and I played through that game probably close to like 12 times at this point. You know, I've done different builds, and I didn't even know about Kanehar's Castle until like my 6th playthrough. I was like, oh, that's a thing. And then on top of that, the DLC that came out, oof, that's probably the best expansion I've ever bought for any game. Like, it's just so much more content, like another 5-10 hour additional hours with the content, with amazing new weapons and bosses. Probably my favorite bosses in any of the Soul series, especially Ludwig. Ludwig is absolutely awesome. But yeah, the art style is absolutely amazingly beautiful with gothic castle designs and creatures of the night. So if you like Castlevania and stuff, you'll love Bloodborne's aesthetic for sure. And the combat, it's fast and fluid. It's at that point it was like unlike any other From Software game up to that point. Sekiro is kind of came, and it's not necessarily as fast as Bloodborne, but it's pretty fast like that. But yeah, the only things I could really say I don't like about Bloodborne is the PvP wasn't really that great. And we mentioned this earlier, but the frame rate's pretty bad. And the PS5, unfortunately, doesn't really doesn't do anything to it. It pretty much emulates it, and that's kind of depressing. I don't know if they're gonna have like a remastered version. I hope they do and adds more content, because I mean, I'll happily pay $70 for a Bloodborne remaster. I don't give a shit, just because I love this game, and I'll support anything in this game that's like new. So.
They probably will, I feel.
Yeah, there's no way they won't. I think they didn't do it because Demon Souls came out, and they probably didn't want to steal thunder away from Demon Souls. So
well, Demon Souls was made by a different company. Like From Software pretty much
From Software published it, but yeah, Blue Point Games they remastered it, but like they
remastered it.
So they probably didn't lose money on it.
No, I feel like a lot of people would have been disappointed. I think when they did Demon Souls, there was a lot more hype. If it was Bloodborne, I think people would have been like, really? Bloodborne? Because like Demon Souls people are always going to be like, what about Demon Souls?
Yeah, you guys hate us. I didn't want them to like completely just don't do a Demon Souls remake. I think I would have been happy if they just like, oh, here's a 2 GB patch and it just unlocks the frame rate. That's all I really would want from Bloodborne. Like
that's true.
If they just made it to where it ran better, I would be cool.
Yeah, I do. I can't really agree if it's like the best PS4 game, but it's easily one of the like games that you should get. It's just like with Bloodborne, I feel like it's too bare bones a little bit for me. Like it has style, don't get me wrong, like the style is definitely up there. Like wow, really cool world designing that they did on that game. But I don't like the levels, like the progression with the game. It's like there's not a whole lot of builds you can do. Not like Dark Souls where it's like, oh my god, you can change it.
And you can't even change it midway too. That's another thing I don't like. Like you're just stuck with.
Oh yeah, you're stuck with it. So it's like, I mean, it's okay. I guess maybe that's why they don't do PvP, because of how they do, but it's not that good.
It sucks. It's just spam to win.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So then you don't use magic at all, because why would you use that? And bullets, it's like whatever. We just use that to parry.
Yeah, literally, I go into PvP matches and like one or two things are gonna happen. They're gonna use the blood, like the mercy blades, and then or they're gonna spam their fucking gun until I fall off the cliff. Like it's one of those things.
Or use Holy Blade and just swing to win.
Yeah, or the axe. The Hunter Axe.
Oh, the axe. Jesus, oh my god.
That weapon is very broken.
It was like, I remember the memes of swing to win, or it was like, what was it? Yeah, I think it was swing to win.
Yeah,
and spin to win. There we go. Spin to win.
I do agree with you that the game is not as customizable as Dark Souls and those other games, but I don't know, just on a purely gameplay standpoint, like if I'm not looking at it as like an RPG, which I don't really look at the From Software games as like RPGs per se. I kind of look at them as like as just third-person hack and slash games for the most part. If I'm looking at it like that, like Bloodborne just stands out amongst all of them. And yeah, I haven't played every single PS4 exclusive, so I probably shouldn't say it's my favorite. But from the ones that I played, it's definitely my favorite. It stands out in my mind all the time. I constantly think about it. We had a friend that got a tattoo on his fucking forearm of like
my god,
the hunter
the hunter mark.
Yeah, the hunter mark, which is cool, pretty cool looking tattoo actually, but
it is.
But yeah, I just love this game. I still talk about it all the time since it came out. Like we all of our friends still talk about it like probably every week. It's like, oh man, that's great, just like Bloodborne, you know. So
no, we're just bringing it up because you keep on bringing it up.
Well, yeah, in this conversation, yeah, I love gushing about it. So if I can gush about it, I'm going it. So
all right.
You got all your games situated, pretty much.
Yeah, I got them all situated. It was just to get a recap. It was Persona 5 Royale and Star Wars Fallen Jedi Order and Spiderman and Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5.
Nice. And for my recap, it was Nioh, Last of Us Part 2, and Bloodborne. So with that, we're going to be looking at the future for PlayStation 4. So we'll try to keep this a little bit brief. That way this doesn't go over 4 hours. But I'll ask you
It's dead.
Yeah. I'll ask you a series of questions, and we'll pretty much discuss it. So, but obviously, looking at the end of the console life, the PlayStation 4 won this generation with being the second highest selling console of all time, selling more than 100 million units in its 7-year lifetime, which is absolutely insane. I didn't realize it was the second highest selling console until I started researching more about the console itself. So that's really cool that it sold that much. And I'm glad because the PS3, I think the PS3 actually sold more than the 360 at the end of its life cycle, but it felt like the PS3 was kind of a misstep for Sony. The 360 I feel like the 360 kind of like won that generation for the most part.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They just had so many games on there on the 360 and PS3.
It was also
like,
cheaper. The PS3 when it first came out was like $600 or $700. Like it was a stupid amount.
Even
of money.
even at the end though, like it was the Xbox was still cheaper. It was like you could get the Xbox 360 for $200, and then when PlayStation lowered their prices, they went down to like $300. But you were getting a lot. Like that console was definitely stronger than a 360.
Oh yeah, just the controller that sucked dick. I hate that controller so much.
Yeah, like the controller sucked, but I mean, you were getting free online with the PlayStation 3. It was just a better hardware console, but as you can tell, I mean, it didn't fail. It just didn't do as good.
Yeah, and arguably way better exclusives than the 360 could do. Because like the 360, all they really had was like Halo and Gears of War, Dead Rising maybe, and some other ones, but like they didn't really have that much really compared to PS3.
Yeah.
But my first question for you is going to be, what are you going to do with your PS4 in the next upcoming year or in the future?
I'll probably keep it because I don't know if I want to move up to PlayStation 5. I'm been thinking more like moving on to PC really. So I do want to keep my PS4, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a push where I'm going to be like, yeah, I want a PS5 really badly. But I just hate the design of PS5. It looks so funky.
I like it. It's kind of futuristic looking. It does look like a Wi-Fi router, like everyone pointed out. But I'm just surprised how fucking big the thing is. Like people make fun of like the Series X for being big, and I'm like, dude, the PS5 is like a little bit, like a lot bigger than that.
A lot bigger. The thing is massive. I would say it's. Do you think it's like the size of the original Xbox One?
No, I think this is actually bigger than the original Xbox One.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that console is ridiculously big. Like, I don't know where to put that thing. So I just feel like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't get it.
That's the thing. I think I might just wait until they have a PS5 Slim or the...
That's true.
I might just wait until that, or if they have really good games, I'll get it. But, like, really, the only thing they have right now is Demon Souls. And I really want to play Demon Souls, but, like, do I want to spend $500 right now or like more just to play that one game? It's just like,
I don't know. You said like Bloodborne is that game that you would get only for just PlayStation 4.
You are right. If Bloodborne had a remaster or something, I'd probably get the PS5 right away. But I mean, I can't even get it right now if I wanted to, so don't even matter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if I do get a PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 4 is just gonna be a probably like a DVD player for like another room.
That's true.
Like that's really all it's gonna be because like what's the point? I could play PlayStation 4 games or some of them, not all of them, on the PlayStation 5. So I don't know. Well, wait, can you put in PS4 discs into the PS5 and will it read it
yes,
or
you
no?
Can. Yes.
Oh, okay, good. And that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
huh?
Go on.
Oh no, I was gonna answer my point, but you go first.
Oh no, that was pretty much the end. I was almost about to jump into something else, but well, you go ahead.
Oh okay. Well, for me, I'm definitely gonna keep playing it probably until the end of next year. by then, the end of next year, there should probably be PS5s readily available. So I'll more than likely pick one up. But yeah, I'm still using it a lot. Like I'm still going through all the backlog that I have. Like I don't know if you see
me too.
Like I have literally like fucking like 20 or 30 games I have not played yet. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna buckle down up until then, and I'll play them. And if I don't, then I can just play on PS5. So
I know I got like a bunch of downloaded like games. Like I have The Witcher 3 to finish playing. I have Shadow of War to play, which I was so mad because I bought it and then like 3 months later it came out for free. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
What's the point of buying these?
Getting a computer made it worse too. Like I bought 3 Tomb Raider games for like $2.50 or like no $3. Like literally less than the price of a coffee. I got 3 games. So like I have like a huge backlog on my computer now, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna beat them all. I'm hoping I will, but like every time there's a sale that goes on, I'm just like, oh, I'll get that, and then my backlog just gets even bigger and bigger. So
I know it's because it's like I see that $20 price tag. I'm like, shit, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
like I love buying games for $20 or lower. It's just something really great about it that I'm just more tempted by it.
Yeah, Best Buy.
I know it's like
this year had like they were selling a lot of games for like, oh, I bought Gears of War 5 just for the fucks of it on the Xbox One. It was $5. I was like, that's absolutely insane.
That's worth it, you know. That's completely worth buying.
Yeah, because I'm a big physical collector, so like I love having physical copies of games because I have that on my Xbox One on the Game Pass, but I'm like, I don't have it on disc, so I got it just to get it. Probably gonna keep it in my package, but let's go on to the next question. So, where would you stack your PS4 against other consoles you played? So, pretty much just saying, like, do you think it's like I don't know, like, where would you put it, like, on your other favorite consoles of all time, or is it just not anywhere near?
Okay, so it would easily be in the top 5 of my best favorite consoles. But I think it will be slightly above my 3DS. Just slightly above the 3DS, I think. And then it would be and on top of the PS4 would be the 360. I just had so much more. I had a lot more fun with that. But that could be because I was in like a kid, so I was able to play with a bunch of my other friends, and we were able to experience some great experiences I haven't gotten from the PS4 really, because now we all got busy and we have jobs and school and stuff. So I guess that's for me personally. I would have to put the PS4 like just below Xbox 360 and just above the 3DS for me.
Okay. I'd probably put the console probably like my second favorite console of all time. I have a hard time figuring out what my first one would be. It's either between the PS2 or my 3DS. I really love my 3DS. Like I still play my 3DS because I modded it like probably like I got a bunch of games on it, and I don't give a fuck. But yeah, like I modded my 3DS like last year. So I have like a lot of games on it that I need to go through, but and I still play it all the time, especially when I go out of town for like business stuff. I
like oh my god, the 3DS is so good for on the go. Like the Switch is nice to play on the go, but I don't know, like the games on the 3DS are just so much better. Like I love whipping out Mario 3D Land sometimes here and there. Like that's like still probably one of my favorite. That is probably my favorite Mario game.
3D Land.
3D Land. I don't know why, but I really fell in love with that game.
That game is kind of boring, but like it's so fun. Like I don't know why. Like it's a boring Mario game because there's nothing like really new about it, but like it's such a fun game to play on the go. And
it is.
Even when you're like at your house not doing anything, like I'll just whip it out and I'll play 3D Land because it's fun.
Like I bought that game off of like one of those like what do you call them? The marketplaces, right?
Like you know, marketplace?
Yeah, basically I went in not like the Facebook marketplace. It was like Swap Meet. Yeah, there we go. In New York, and I was in New York with my aunt for vacation, and I saw the game, and I was like, you know what? I really been wanting to play this game, so I bought it. And I kid you not, the whole plane ride and the whole trip, really, when when we were doing anything, we were just sitting around in the house, I binged the game and I beat it in like so quickly, and I was like, oh my god. But I was like, this is like the best Mario game I've ever played.
Yeah, it's just so fun. Like I think that I like about it, it's really relaxing. That's why I really enjoy it. And like and then because it has the added bonus of being on the go, it's just fun playing with it. Like, you know, just like, okay, let me close it. You can open it back up, and you don't have to think about it. You just play. That's what I like about it. Because for me, my game was
simplistic.
Fire Emblem Shadows. When I had to go to Phoenix for a month this year, I brought that game, and I probably put like 60 hours in it just because I had a lot of downtime when I was over there. And me and our friend Ricardo, me and him were just like trying to like erase to see who can beat it first. And that shit was just really fun to play. And there's a lot of memories I have on my 3DS, like especially when like Super Smash Bros. 3DS came out, and a bunch of other, and like all the Pokemon games pretty much, like Y, and even the bad ones like Alpha Sapphire and shit.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna have to take that back. I think I'm gonna have to put the 3DS actually above the PlayStation 4. It's just, oh my god, the amount of time, time I put into that console is ridiculous. It was so good that I was willing to pay for the new 3DS. While like the PlayStation 4, I'm not willing to pay for the PlayStation 4 Pro. You kind of get what I'm saying?
No, exactly. Like when I used to play Monster Hunter Generations on my 3DS, I was like, I can't play this on I was playing on the stupid door stomp 2DS, and I was like, I'm upgrading. And I got the new Nintendo 3DS just for that nub and like the extra buttons, and because it was bigger screen. And it
played games better. It played games better. Yeah. So it was like, to me, I liked it so much that I was willing to pay for a console that I had like already, and it was perfectly fine. But I ended up just getting that upgraded version because I was like, you know what? I really liked this console so much. I'm willing to do it. Like, even right now, I'm getting actually really excited to just wanting to play on it. Like, doing this whole podcast, I have no urge of like, oh yeah, I really want to play on my PlayStation 4. But just doing this one tiny amount of time, I'm already ready to go play on my 3DS.
Yeah, like I don't know. The PS4, like, it's my second favorite console of all time because I love how many games are on the thing, and I like the controller a lot, and I love how like kind of fast it like loads up games and stuff like that. But I just enjoy it, not on like fun wise, but utility wise. Like it's like having a really like boring pocket knife, you know. It's not really that fun to look at, but it gets the job done, and that's why I like the PS4 so much, because it got the job done. It got what I wanted to play. It played a lot of games that I wanted to play on it, and because of that, it's like my second favorite console. Not based off of like love for it, but based off of like of the utility of it, pretty much. Like, I'm still gonna use this thing up until next year, maybe even beyond that. And like, even if I don't want to game on it, I can use it as a DVD player. You know, like there's a reason to have one still, pretty much. So
yeah, it is a pretty you can use a Blu-ray player, really, even though nowadays those are cheap.
A Blu-ray or like streaming, like, or for streaming or whatnot, unless you have like a smart TV, then you don't need it. But
yeah, like, so is there any other questions?
Yeah, one more question. This is the ultimate question. So personally, what do you enjoy more, the Xbox One SX or the PS4/PS4 Pro, which is ultimately the better console, you think?
PS4. They have games on it, and not Xbox doesn't really have games on it, and games that they had that looked really promising failed, like Sea of Thieves. That was like probably the only reason why I was really interested in like Xbox, and it came out and it was a big flop. It was really terrible. And then that one game that was like a DMC-esque kind of game, or Monster Hunter-esque game, yeah, like that looked really cool. And that game got canceled. And so it was just like, you know, so many. And I like Gears of War, but I mean, I like the original Gears of War anyway, so it's just like, I don't really need to play the other ones. And they're just third person shooters, really.
Oh yeah, for sure. So
that's about.
That's where you're about it.
Yeah, that's where I'm about. Like right there.
Mm-hmm. I think for base PS4 and base Xbox One and Xbox One S, I would probably say the PS4 is better than those two. But if I'm talking about the Pro and the X, the Xbox One X is fucking light years better than the Pro. for me personally. Like it upgrades games that like PS4 Pro can't do because they have to update it because like the architecture is a bit different. But the Xbox One X is just it's sexy. I love the controller. And then when Game Pass came out, like that's my Game Pass machine. Like my Xbox One X. I don't have any like physical Xbox One games aside from Gears 5 that I just recently bought. Like that is solely just like my streaming like games kind of thing. And I love my Xbox One X, but overall, I do think the PS4 is definitely better than everything. Like I love my PS4, and
is it because of Bloodborne?
Yeah, it's all because of Bloodborne.
Only Bloodborne.
Yeah, only Bloodborne. No, I love the console. It's a great console. It's not my favorite console of all time, like I mentioned. 3DS is obviously king, but it's great for what I want it for, which is to play games. So, with that out of the way, PS4, you're not dead yet, at least to me, but you will be dead soon. And but yeah, I just wanted to.
But 3DS forever.
3DS forever. Dude. I'm so sad. You can't buy a new Nintendo 3DS like in stores. A lot of places they don't sell them anymore. So it's like,
oh my god,
damn. I should have bought another. I knew I should have bought one before they like discontinued it, but like I didn't think about it. But
oh yeah, that's true. Oh well.
Yeah. Oh well. But
all right, time to play some 3DS games. Am I right?
Yeah. No. So probably episode 3 we'll probably go over Nintendo 3DS or something else Scott wants to do. I picked the first 2, so maybe Scott will pick the next one.
The 3DS sounds really good. I would love to talk about the 3DS.
Yeah, honestly, we were talking about. I was like, damn, I want to play my 3DS now.
Yeah, I know it's so good.
But with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the podcast. I don't want to extend it any longer than we have to. So thank you very much for watching. And again, if you want to follow news of what I'm doing and what we're gonna do with the podcast, just follow me on Twitter at ghost_business on the Twitter. And make sure to subscribe, like, and do all the bells and whistles and whatnot on YouTube. So, that out of the way, thank you very much for watching Plethora Video Games Podcast Episode 2. And I hope you enjoy.
All right, bye.
Click.